right source, right? Because you got to make an event and all that shit.
I don't know. I think it might just be because it crashed. Usually it doesn't have an issue at all.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
so
can
now it
totally
should
be.
work. Now it should work. Okay. All right, so it's good. Let me just pull up the chat. Okay, so.
All right. I will do an intro and then.
Yeah, go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special tier list with my good friend Deathy. He's actually one of the smart half of this duo, and we're gonna make a lovely tier list. Also, don't forget to check out his meta report video. There will also be like a TLDR of this tier list. And yeah, let's get right into it. How are you today?
I'm good. Pleasure to be here. It's actually my birthday today, so.
Oh shit!
Birthday stream.
Yeah. Wait. Happy birthday to.
Oh.
Happy birthday to. Happy birthday to Deathy. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Ooh. Wow. Nice. How old are you now?
27.
Oh, let's go. He's still a baby. All right.
For deadlock terms, you know, and at least in the streamers and stuff, I'm like a boomer. But yeah.
Meanwhile, I was like screaming in Overwatch when you were like sucking on your. Anyway.
Probably not. Probably not. Overwatch, I was already an adult.
Maybe not.
You know?
Okay. Maybe Heroes of New Earth or Dota 1 actually is probably.
Yeah. Dota 1, I was like a child. Yeah. Don't
All
forget
right.
your meds. I won't.
So we are gonna make a tier list today. We're gonna try to base this tier list off of representative for all skill tiers, right? Is that what do you think?
I think it's a discussion. I think it's about having a discussion. When I make a tier list, I think it's really hard to like. Obviously, if you want to make a tier list that's like the most representative of like the current skill level of every player, you just take every hero's win rate and you just plug them into the tier list, and that would be that.
Exactly.
But for me, it's about the strength of the heroes right now, and I think that there's a lot of heroes that might have low win rates that are actually really strong. It's just that they're like high skill heroes. So I think there's like nuance to it. At the end of the day, if you and I heavily disagree on a hero, we can come to a compromise, and that'll probably be more representative of the actual you know, power level of the hero.
But I think it's also fair to say that you are, you know, Eternus 6, you play scrims regularly against the best players in the game. I'm just a pub stomper, so obviously sometimes our opinions are probably not the same, but at the same time I do think that you have a better, I mean, you're a coach. I'm just a, you know, like one of your viewers said the other day, I'm a brain dead player, and if I can't play Bebop, I will lose. But jokes on him, I lose on Bebop too, so that's fine.
Oh shit. Yeah. That's true. Well, you know, at the end of the day, I think that everyone's opinion is valid, and I'll be interested to see where we disagree, because you know, way back in the past, like I don't know how many months ago this was, but back like when there was a lot more deadlock content being made on YouTube, I'd see your videos pop up, and sometimes with the tier list, I'd be like, you know, I disagree with a lot of your takes. And so I think that I've always wanted to be like, man, you know, it'd be cool if I could just like maybe either correct him or feel like we could have a discussion, so that I could be like, this hero is actually, I think it's stronger because of that. Also, so the pub tier list or comp tier list, I think kind of like both. That's kind of my point. Is like I don't think you can fully separate them. It's just an overall perspective. Like we'll have both perspectives here.
Yeah. Also, how do I change your volume when we're in a call? I'm trying to figure that out because you just
right click over my name.
I can't because I can't see it.
You should be able to. Also, click on the like things. Click on to see all the streams, to see your screen share and my name, and then you can right click.
I found it. I have you on 200%. That should do it.
Oh, okay.
I think I had you on 200% because we played together some other time and you were low, I think.
I was quiet, yeah, my gain on my mic was a little fucked, but now it's I fixed it.
That's better.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's hop straight into it. We're starting with a juicer. How do you feel about Bebop?
Bebop. I mean, in my opinion, Bebop is like you know, I think that Bebop players tend to lowball him a little bit. I think that other players tend to he's probably the most controversial hero. I would say that in my opinion, he's either S or A tier. He's definitely not lower than A tier. That's for sure. That's like non-negotiable. The hero just has a lot of things going for him. He's got a lot of sprint speed, a lot of base stats. I mean, now he has 2 stams, so that's definitely like a more reasonable. Hook is like, yeah, it's one of those things that's very inconsistent, but also like late game it's on an 8-second cooldown, and
it can
deadlock
just fish.
Yeah, like deadlock, like later in the game, like if you get 1 kill, like you win the fight, and you can do so much off of it. So yeah.
Do you know what's funny is that my viewers, they play a lot of Bebop, and your viewers, they hate a lot of Bebop. So I just look over the chat and I can instantly see how like your viewers are like, that's gotta be S, and then someone in my chat is like, nah, I think it's like a solid C.
yeah.
But no, I agree with you. I think the biggest discussion topic for me is always like the assumption that everyone is playing Gunbop, right? Because Gunbop is always like the most consistently performing build. So if we're like basing it on like the best build, which is obviously Gun, then I think I'll agree with you that like it's got to be probably like high A maybe. I think that like the 2 stamina nerf and the base stats nerf, I agree that he had way too much base stats. But I don't like that like every time Bebop gets nerfed, like Bomb is always like worse than Gun. And there's like I don't know, that's the part that sucks for me. Who's like I've played like 1,500 games on that hero, and most of them are Bomb, and I always felt like people are like, oh my god, this hero is so broken. But then it's like one of those outlier games too, where sometimes you do get 200 stacks because like the opposite lane failed, and then you snowball really hard. But then they don't see the games where you have like 50 stacks and you're basically just a hook bot endgame.
Yeah.
But I think we agree that he is like high A tier, I would say. What do you think about that?
I think high A tier is probably fair. Like if it was my tier list, I'd probably put him like low S tier, but you know, high A tier is fair. I think as far if we were to rate like the annoyance factor of a hero, I think I would put him in S tier, because I think he's just very annoying. And with the bomb thing, like you said, it's out of your control. So if like I don't know, PCT is just farming like farming like Oracle players in another lane, and he comes out of lane with 100 stacks, it's just like, okay, well, it doesn't matter that bomb is worse, because now he has Echo Shard at 12 minutes and 100 stacks. So there's that.
Yeah, like I agree with that. I do think that Bomb Bebop actually excels in like in weird matchmaking scenarios, because you can identify the Oracle player and then you can go and take advantage of him and build stacks.
Yeah, 100%.
I do think that if Bebop is shut down in the laning stage, it's probably gonna not be a very fun character for the rest of the game unless they play Gun. But I've definitely experienced a lot where I win a lane, I'm like 1,000 or 2,000 souls up, but it feels like I lost the lane because I didn't build enough bomb stacks. And I think that's like my biggest issue with the hero. Whereas like I hate that it feels like you have to play that kind of arcade mode inting if you play bomb, right? Or else you're just like, you can farm as much as you want, but you can be like top souls and do very little damage if you didn't build stacks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the whole stacking mechanic. I think they should just rework the ability to not have stacking, but like be viable if you invest things into it with items or whatever. Who knows what they're cooking up? I think we can kind of close it on Bebop and move to the next character for that, but I think we mostly agree,
Yeah. Holiday, which has one of the lowest win rates, I'd like to add.
Really? Okay, this easy S tier. Like, how does this hero have a low win rate?
I think that Holiday has a low win rate just because it's a hard hero to play, and a lot of people play Gun Holiday. A lot of people are like, because when I saw the hero for the first time, I was like, oh, that passive with the headshot is insane, right? But Holiday has one of the lowest win rates
actually horrible.
In the game.
Like the crack shot is actually crack shot is good in lane, but it's actually like if you try to build around crack shot, it's horrible.
Yeah. The only thing I've seen is like crack shot can if you have ricochet on it, it also affects the other targets like the cooldown reduction. But that's like such a niche scenario that but I do think that win rates are a better representation of how easy a hero is to learn rather than how good it is. If you look across the entire rank spectrum, if you look at like Ascendant Plus, then I think win rates can be a little bit more representative of where you actually put a hero. But I think, I agree with you. She's been nerfed several times. It doesn't matter. She still had like, I've seen several Fight Night games where there's a Holiday and Mo in the same lane.
Yeah.
And it's just like she picks a target up, drags her under the tower, and gets Mo ulted.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the Holiday plus Mo is like you just get people into the Mo ult. It's extremely powerful. I mean, I don't even think you need explanations for this hero being S tier. Like
No.
one of the strongest landing stages. Lasso with any cooldown reduction is like essentially like if you max it, you get cooldown reduction. It's like a 40-second cooldown, and Lasso is like just so insane. It forces everyone to buy debuff remover because otherwise it lasts way too long. Obviously, debuff remover is like a good item, so it's not that bad. But
3 jump pads.
Yeah, this hero's only weakness is the fact that like her damage like does fall off. Like she does fall off, but her lasso never falls off. But her damage like definitely falls off.
Also, isn't the increased timer when you jump pad while lassoing that isn't reduced by debuff remover, right?
That is correct. The jump pad, 1 second extra is not affected, but the rest is affected. So, and a lot of the time against like Wars Holiday players, if you have a debuff remover, they might not even get to the jump pad in time because they might not realize it, and then
Okay, So I'm curious, what do you think about Geist? Because a lot of heroes got nerfed in the last patch, but I feel like Geist just got a lot better just because she didn't get nerfed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Geist is probably like S tier as well, or like high A tier. Maybe not S tier. I would put her in A tier. I think I could see the argument for S tier as well. Like her entire kit's extremely strong. She's a strong laner. Like Geist's only weakness has always been her mobility. Like she doesn't have any innate mobility. But other than that, I mean, swap is just always going to be super powerful, just because like you can target like the most fed player on the enemy team in any fight and just essentially delete 70% of their health instantly. So yeah, it's got to be like high A tier or like S tier.
I've always not liked Geist's ult, actually. I don't know about you, but I've always found that to be one of those like you get rewarded for like getting yourself to low health. But
I mean, I've been fine with it probably just because when I first started playing the game, I was like, oh, this is just Terrorblade ult, and I was like, oh, you know, cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Yeah.
So I was like, all right.
All right, yeah, I'm putting her. How about we put her slightly behind Bebop, or do you think
that's probably fair? I think realistically, she is like probably like a similar strength level to Bebop overall. She's definitely like more consistent.
Yeah, I feel like Geist is one of those like it's never a bad pick, right? She can be tanky, she can do damage.
Yeah. You never see a Geist picked and you're like, wow, what a throw.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those picks that you don't need, like, because especially when we're just like queuing up pub games, then you can't always like choose your comp. And I feel like Geist is one of those like flex picks that like you're never gonna be mad about having a Geist on your team. All right, Lash.
That's true. Yeah,
I know you play him a lot.
Yeah, so Lash, I think a little bit like Bebop, Lash is quite controversial. And,
yeah, I agree.
And Lash also has the effect of being significantly better at lower levels of play and in uncoordinated play.
Yeah.
So essentially, I think that this hero in like pubs for the average player is like probably like high A or S tier. But in competitive play, he's like probably like C tier.
Interesting.
So like I think usually A or B is fair for Lash if you like kind of average them out. The thing with Lash is that if you know how to play against Lash and you buy the proper items and you understand how he works, he is one of the heroes that has the most counterplay in the game. I think he actually has good design from that perspective, right? Because a lot of the stuff that he does can be countered one way or another.
But like for instance, you have Kelvin ult fully counters Lash ult. Dynamo can TP the entire team out of Lash
Bebop
ult.
can hook him and it cancels it. It stuns him.
Bebop can hook him. You're forced to buy Unstoppable and maybe even Refresher against a lot of teams. But then Kelvin has a pretty, I agree with you that like he's really good in low ranks and medium ranks and like for instance. In a lot of pub games, if a team has Lash and Dynamo, they're very likely to win that game just off of one combo. Like at one point, your team is out of position. You get Lash ulted into Dynamo ult and just get wombo comboed. It also means that your mid boss is like much easier to win overall. So I think I can agree with you. Like maybe top of B tier just because of like the counterplay on the higher levels.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I would also be like A tier is also fair depending. I think if you were counting strictly pubs, strictly average player, I could see S tier. But if we're being like a bigger scope, I think like high B tier or like low A tier is probably fair.
Yeah. Okay, I'm putting it in the top of B tier, and then we'll
I
see
would say
what.
that before the most recent patch, I would have put him very confidently at C tier. But he is one of the biggest winners from the E-shift change, being 6K.
That's true. That's true.
And so like it definitely helps him a lot. The E-shift change definitely helps him a lot because now you have to actually counter the Lash himself in his ult, right? Or also, if you guys don't know, like I would say right now the biggest counter to Lash, or one of the biggest counters to Lash, is just mobility in general. So if you have Warp Stone Superior Stamina, like you can dodge a lot of Lash's stuff, and those items are just extremely stat efficient, like extremely strong. So you can buy them on almost any hero.
I also feel like I've seen a lot of fight night matches where Lash just doesn't get much value. Like
I mean, in competitive play, he has like actually a horrible win rate. Like he was picked like every game in the 1-win EU Grand Finals. He lost every game. He had like some impact here and there. He had like one big ult in a key moment. Like if he gets a big ult, this hero looks insane. But if he doesn't manage to get that because people are playing well around it, the hero is not very good.
Yeah. All right, and then McInnis. Now that's a juicy one. I personally think that McInnis is probably S tier. No, I'm joking. This hero needs like help.
B tier, you know, it is what it is.
She needs help, man.
Just give her one stamina and she'll be infinitely better.
Yeah.
Like, give her one extra stamina, not like from 2 to 1 stamina. Like bring her from 2 to 3.
Yeah. Put her on 1 stamina.
Yeah, just no. I think McInnis. I think we should just remove all stamina from McInnis, and she should only walk.
No, McInnis has had a lot of changes back and forth over the last 6, 7, 8 months or whatever it is. I remember when Naked was going crazy with the ult builds a while ago and stuff, but as of right now, this hero is just trash. I'm sorry, but like, there's just
I mean, it's true. I think she's one thing to remind everybody is when you make a Deadlock tier list. Deadlock is the type of game where when a hero is D, all that it takes is just like one change to take that hero from like D tier to like B or even A tier. So like I'm fairly confident if McInnis just gets 3 stam and like maybe some slight changes to some of her like numbers, she would instantly be like B or A tier.
Yeah, and it's also a hero that is like, it's a very finicky hero to balance, because I remember all the patches where her turrets were a little bit too strong. And then suddenly it's just like, it's horrible to play against. She would have those like build a fort on the roof with turrets and nobody can even get up there. So it's definitely fine. But that's also just like, I guess, a compliment to this game as a whole, where like it is very short between the tiers compared to a lot of other games.
Yeah, in some games I feel like someone like something is D tier, it's like, okay, this shit is like so horrible compared to everything else.
Yeah,
but
you just lose by default.
It's just Ice Rock balancing, you know. You look at Dota, for example, a lot of like internationals, like most heroes are picked, you know. There's very few heroes that are actually unplayable, and in Deadlock is the same. Like even McInnis is still like playable, and you still see her picked in comp play sometimes. It's just very rare, and she's just worse compared to the alternatives.
Yeah, I agree. Which brings me to the next one, which is Mo and Krill, and I'm assuming you're gonna agree with me that he belongs in the absolute opposite end of the scale.
Yeah, I mean, he's either S or A. I think you could make the argument that he's not S tier, but he could be A tier. But then again, this hero is like, you need to buy specific counter items for him. You need to buy anti-heal, which the large majority of the player base is allergic to. And he's just like, it doesn't matter how good you are. If Mo and Krill presses 4 on you, you're CC'd for a while. So yeah, it's either high A or like low S. He's definitely not like anywhere near as oppressive as like Holiday, for example.
No, I agree.
But yeah,
I agree. I think that one thing about Mo is that he isn't too complicated to play, so that also like lifts him up on like a general player perspective. I think even in like mid elo, you can pretty easily play a Mo. Like for instance,
like a bad player gets much more value from Mo than a bad player gets from Holiday, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Mo's win rate is much higher than Holiday, even though we think that Holiday is stronger. I think my biggest thing with Mo is that one thing I've noticed, because I've played a lot of Mo in the last month or so, is that you can literally buy Quicksilver Reload, Torment Pulse, and Phantom Strike, and you can just start running around the map. And with the recent, I actually think that the recent changes to how, like, you know, the soul changes in the lane, I actually think that benefits Mo, because he jungles pretty fast, right? If you have Quicksilver Reload and Torment Pulse, so you can like I think he's a good like kind of semi-support roamer slash jungler, where you can funnel more farm into whoever's in the solo lane, and that gives you more potential to gank with the ult because it's got such a low cooldown too. So I actually think that those changes actually makes him better. And the fact that like he's one of the hard counters to like heroes like Yamato that can just go like super dummy strong. So I definitely think he's S tier as well.
Yeah, I think S tier for the average player is a very reasonable.
Yeah, I just think it's
and
like
even
a
in tournament play,
combination.
he's still like at least high A tier.
Yeah, like he's strong across the entire board, but he's also easy to learn. So it's like there's no like downside. And I think that's another hero like Geist, where like you're never gonna be mad about having a Mo on your team. And then also like personally, I just love heroes that have stacking abilities.
Yeah.
I think that next up we have Paradox, and one thing I like to say about Paradox is that I always get surprised of how many patches she has gone through without getting big nerfs, because I feel like she's been so strong since like the very beginning, even though they changed like the charges on the wall and everything. I don't think like that made her that much weaker. I just think she's like
she's gotten nerfed like probably 20 different patches at this point. I don't know the number, but all I remember is that Paradox has only gotten the only buffs Paradox has ever gotten were to her grenade. All of her other abilities have been consistently nerfed. I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't think that
Carbine got more damage, I think. Carbine got a little more damage.
Yeah, Carbine got more damage, and it got the headshot also.
Yeah, yep.
But for the most part, it's been like 99% nerfs on her kit. And this character used to be like beyond like broken. Like, this character, you were playing Paradox, you were playing like a different game than everybody else. Like, you weren't playing Deadlock, you were playing Paradox. I mean, she's still S tier despite all of that.
Yeah. I agree. I think one thing I've always said from the very get-go, and I got a lot of hate from this in the beginning, I said that like Paradox is the pick hero that Bebop always wanted to be. She's like always very consistent. She can always like the combo is much more consistent to hit. When your wall is maxed, you swap them into silence. You don't have to spend 3k on a silence glyph either. So I don't know. And this hero, just like you said, regardless of how many nerfs, I think this is like probably a top 5 hero in my opinion.
I mean, she's very strong, and she's also like, if we're talking about the competitive side right now, it's also the fact that there are heroes like Holiday, and Bebop to an extent, even Mo, like a lot of the heroes we've ranked so far fundamentally change the way that your team can play on the map. Yeah, and there's very few heroes that actually achieve that. And so that's definitely one of Paradox's biggest strengths. And yeah, she's definitely like top 5 heroes. She's always very, very highly valued in the pick bans and tournaments, and probably always will be until they add more heroes that can have like a similar. I mean, the biggest nerf to Paradox was the addition of Holiday. It wasn't like a nerf, but like it was like a, oh, now we have an alternative. And guess what? They're both
the power creep. Yeah. Do you agree if I put her between Holiday and Mo?
Yeah. I think she's worse than Holiday for sure. Not by much, but she's definitely worse than Holiday. Yeah. Her laning stage is worse. She does have like higher damage output later with like double bomb and some shenanigans like that, but overall Lasso just has better displacement than Swap. You don't have to displace yourself. Lasso lasts a long time, etc.
Yeah. All right. Next up we have Pocket, and I would like to preface this by saying that this is the hero I hate most in the entire game. But probably because it's also like one of the very one of the most frustrating heroes to play against as a Bebop. The suitcase is on like an 8-second cooldown, infinite mobility. Pocket's gotten a lot of buffs and nerfs and changes to the ult over the course of the last 6 months and stuff, but I always hate playing against this hero. But I would love to hear what you think about where to put him.
Yeah, so I guess to preface on my side, Pocket is one of my most played heroes. I think he's probably my third most played. I've played him in tournaments, scrims, pubs, everything. I've played him when he was most OP, and I've played him recently. He's definitely fallen off a lot from like his golden era, where he was literally just like server admin, just like one-shotting everyone, no cooldowns, like infinite damage amp, like ult is uncounterable.
I agree.
I mean, debuff remover wasn't always in the game, guys. That's all I'm gonna say. Debuff remover was not in the game originally.
Oh my god.
Good luck, guys.
The old ult
But you know, nowadays I think that he is probably just like balanced. I would say before the most recent patch, I would have put him A tier, but now I'd put him B tier. The nerfs to his early game definitely impact him a lot. Like his satchel, you now require like really 2 points in it to have it do significant damage. His shotgun got nerfed by like, I think his early game DPS got nerfed by like 20% on his gun last patch, which is like a lot. It might not have seemed like much, but it was a lot. So I think
that is a lot. Yeah.
I would say he's definitely better than Lash, like significantly better than Lash. But in pubs, and he's also like, you know, he's hard to play and all that stuff, and he doesn't have like a ult that like, I mean, his ult is good, but it doesn't change team fights the way that Lash ult can in pubs. And so
I like Pocket in A, you like Pocket in B. How do we I feel like also just,
well, you could put him like bottom of A, but I think that we're gonna start to get some bloat, so I would put him in B personally, because I think that A is very likely to get bloated.
Also, chat, Pocket is a they, not a he, just so we don't piss anyone off.
Yeah, my bad.
It's I always say misgendering is fine as long as you do it on don't do it on purpose. Everybody can accidentally do it, but like, that's I had some bad experiences with people in the Valorant community when Clove came out. They were like, "Oh, it's a girl." I'm like, "Well, just guys, it's not that deep. Just it really isn't though. I'm just like just call the character them and get over it. You'll sleep just you know what I mean?"
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay, next up we have 7, which currently has the highest win rate in the game, and has had for quite a while, actually, I believe.
7 will probably always have the highest win rate.
Yeah.
Like
I think 7 is like a easy hero to learn. An ult that is like, do you remember the very early days of Deadlock? Like when the game just came out, we just started streaming it. And I remember everybody would complain about how broken 7 was because you could just like hop in spawn and press 4 and you could never win the game.
I mean, when I first started playing Deadlock, I thought 7 was OP. And then like after like a month or two, I realized 7 was actually terrible. Like 7 was actually really bad back then. Honestly, it's a funny part. Like everyone thought, the community thought he was OP, but he was actually a really like not good. In comparison. I think right now 7 is like pretty good, which is why he has such an insane win rate, because like since he's pretty good and he's easy to play, you know, his win rate is kind of insane. He does have the effect, like the adverse effect of other heroes, meaning that as you go up in ranks, if you check, like his win rate does go down, right?
Yeah.
Like the higher the rank, the lower the win rate, because people buy knockdown, people will buy items to counter him. But I think he's like a solid A tier right now, probably.
I agree, and I also think that like the map changes definitely benefited 7 a lot. Like the
more jungle
where you like max 3 first, and you can run through like 3 to 4 camps without your 3 going off. And being more team fight centric in like, because there's less lanes. I agree with you. I think I'm putting 7 above Bebop and Geist. Do you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I think I would probably put him like below both of them, honestly.
Okay.
I think it depends though. From a pub perspective, he's probably above.
Yeah, but in pro play, no.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I'd say in pro play, it's pretty rare that you'll see him picked very early, just because other characters just like, he's just like a nice addition to your team, but he doesn't necessarily like shape your team or whatever. Like a hero like Bebop or Geist will usually have higher priority just because of what they can do.
Yeah. Push the agenda so Bebop sucks, they won't get nerfed. Dude, Bebop is the most hated character in this game. He's always going to get nerfed, regardless of whether or not I want him to. That's something I've accepted very early on. It's out of my hands.
Bebop is going to get the Pudge treatment, which is the hero will probably get nerfed until he's like essentially just objectively not a good hero, but people will still play him because he's a hook hero and they enjoy that. That's probably what will happen.
Yeah,
which is what happened to Pudge for a long time. And then Pudge got like some metas where he was good, but like for the most part, Pudge was always like a meme.
Yeah. And same with Roadhog in Overwatch. Same with hook characters in any game. It's always the most hated characters. All right. Next up we have Shiv, which also is one of the most nerfed heroes. Like I think he's probably nerfed like 20 times as well. I remember Shiv on launch day when his knife did more damage than Pocket Affliction. That was definitely suboptimal, but he's seen a lot of changes since then.
Yep.
But yeah, what do you think?
I mean, I think Shiv is like probably just B tier. I think he's probably right around Pocket. I could say he might be better than Pocket. He might be worse than Pocket. It depends. I think as far as like consistency goes, Shiv's early game is definitely like pretty decent, and like when he's max rage, he can feel like very strong. And right now, a lot of the items are good for Shiv. Like the items that are good, like Shiv likes to buy them. Like debuff remover being very good is very good for Shiv, for example, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's one of the heroes where you consistently buy that item on.
Yeah, like it's like mandatory. So I think he's like B. I'd probably put him above Pocket, even though it might be controversial.
No, I think I agree with you. I know that a lot of people say that Shiv is broken and stuff, but I think this is just one of those heroes that feels so horrendous to play against if he gets elite. Like some heroes are more like for instance, if you play against that Mo who's 5k ahead, he's not going to destroy you, but you're not going to be able to kill him. But if you're against a Shiv or a Pocket that is 5k ahead, you're not going to have a good time. But there are also like, I think my biggest issue with Shiv is just that like, I'm not sure if damage deferring belongs in this game. Like I'm not sure.
I mean that was my biggest issue when he got added too. Like in the sense that when he got added, I was like, bloodletting just seems a little silly. I think it should probably get reworked into something else because it's very unclear when he's gonna die, when he's not gonna die, like all that stuff, right? Sometimes you're like, that shit's gonna die for sure, and then
no, I agree with that.
I'd be down for bloodletting to get reworked.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of bloodletting. I know they introduced it in Dota recently too, but it doesn't mean that it needs to be here. All right. Sinclair is a hero I despise personally.
Makes sense.
I think the laning stage of Sinclair is absolutely busted. The combination of like putting out your duplicate and sending down those freaking rocket launchers from above. I don't know. I think this hero will always have a low win rate because he's very clunky. And a lot of people are going to play him the wrong way, and a lot of people are just going to feed.
I mean, he's just hard to play too. Like he's clunky, and he's definitely is one of the harder heroes in the game to play.
Yeah,
a lot of the heroes in this game are not very hard to play, like objectively. But Sinclair is definitely harder. I think this hero is S tier.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this hero's above Mo and Krill, like below Paradox, below Holiday, but like right there.
Yeah,
probably third. Like. I don't know. This hero is just like fundamentally broken.
Yeah, I think that like whenever I play against Sinclair, I just know that this lane is going to be a terrible time. There is no like, and you know what's also interesting about Sinclair is that he can teleport to his duplicate even if he's silenced.
Yep. And they've never specified whether that's intended or not. At this point, you just have to assume it's intended.
Yeah. Because I've had several times where like I hook a Sinclair, I do the full combo, and it just goes out, even with like, does it work with slowing Hex too? I'm not 100% sure, but
if he's slowing Hex, he can't TP. So you have to buy slowing Hex against Sinclair, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna put him between Mo and Paradox. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I think that this hero is like the potential of this hero has not even like been fully tapped yet. Like this hero has a AoE Hex with damage amp and steals ultimates on a 50% cooldown.
I know.
If you sit down and really think about it, is there any MOBA ever that has anything even remotely close? I don't think so.
No, I mean you have Rubik, and you have Lion. Lion has a single target Hex with damage amp.
Yeah. I mean, Lion can there's things that make AoE hexes, but like, I don't know, you know, Sinclair, obviously the Hex makes you move faster and all that stuff, so you need like some form of lockdown, but like there's combos that are just insane. Like for example, think about it. You get a big Vindicta tether into like a Sinclair, and then like any damage that's dealt, they just melt.
Someone said you can 100% TP while slowing Hexed.
No, you can't.
Interesting.
You literally can't. You cannot. That person's like,
Okay.
You can't.
Okay,
I
okay.
promise you cannot.
I know. Okay. I'm trusting. All right. Next up, we have Vindicta, which, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the most first picked and first banned heroes in Fight Night, isn't it?
So recently, not as much, but like there was definitely a long period of time. Yes. Nowadays, kind of Grey Talon overshadows her. Recently, so because of the proficiency of Grey Talon, I would put her at A tier, like top of A tier.
Okay.
But if Grey Talon was worse, she would probably be S tier.
Is that because Grey Talon is a good counter to her? Because of how easy she is
so
to
in the
damage
air
with
battle, like Grey Talon usually shits on Vindicta. If they're both in the air, like he'll just kill her. Yeah. And so which makes team fights a little bit awkward to play as Vindicta if you're playing against Grey Talon. It's not unplayable by any means, like, but it just makes it a little bit harder.
But Grey Talon recently got nerfed, right?
I mean, you know, like they nerfed him on but like he's still the server admin.
Okay, I see. All right, I am putting Vindicta at the top of A then.
Yeah, I think she's top of A.
Okay. All right, next up we have Viper. Personally, I don't think Viper is that strong. I've seen first of all, like, she's almost never picked in tournaments. So that's one thing. You can always argue that she's also just very susceptible to people targeting her with specific counter items because she has to do slides. So she's definitely a pub stomper more than pro tournament hero. But I never feel like she's a huge problem in pubs either, unless she gets far ahead. What do you think?
I think she's like bottom of B tier in the sense I don't think she's bad enough to be C tier. I think McInnis needs to be very clearly below a lot of other heroes. Yeah. And I already envisioned who I'm going to put in C tier. Which I'm not going to spoil, orange? But it might be. So anyhow, like I do think Viper is like just better than Haze in like almost every aspect. And Viper and Haze have exactly almost the same issues, meaning they get bursted down, they get fucked by TC, etc. But Viper just has much better mobility than Haze does with her slide, like in fight mobility. Haze has better map mobility, but Viper has better mobility in fights.
No, I agree.
And also, Viper's damage output is higher. She does need to get closer. And Viper's ultimate is just way better than Haze's ultimate. Viper has built-in anti-heal. She has a lot of things that are actually pretty good about her. But there are a lot of counters too. So I think Viper is honestly just a balanced hero. Just like slightly worse than average.
Do you remember when they first launched Viper and her base gun damage was too high? She was shredding. But then they reduced it by shit tons. But I do think I agree that putting her like below Lash is probably the play here. I think she definitely gets countered really easily, and I think in a lot of games the same thing happens to Viper as Haze. You don't get that early lead, and then you just like keep getting shit on by like a Yamato or something.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. B for balanced. Yeah. This tier list is weird as fuck. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
I mean, you know, I think tier lists are always weird from someone's perspective, and there's no such thing as a correct tier list, so it's all just opinions at the end of the day.
Of course, and if you're like Oracle or Archon, you probably have a very different experience from either of us. Yeah, that's just how it's gonna be.
It's time to change the world now.
Oh, dude, I just like not related to which tier to put him in. I always found Warden to be pretty cool. You know,
really?
Like he's got.
I feel like a lot of people think Warden's lame as hell.
I'm not like his toolkit, but his like aura. You know, he's got this like really deep voice, and he's like a police officer. I think he has a lot of aura. But I do agree that he's kind of like straightforward, I guess.
I think this character is like high B.
Yeah,
I think
I can see that.
Probably equal to Shiv, or maybe better than Shiv sometimes, worse than Shiv sometimes. I'd put him either above Shiv or below Shiv. I think he's better. He's more consistent than Pocket, Lash, or Viper for sure. Like he's definitely better than those heroes.
I agree. I think that the Warden is pretty good in the laning stage. Like if you get caught by a cage, his laning
stage is both good and like not that good at the same time.
Because
As
of
in,
the bullet velocity, you mean?
well, the bullet velocity is like, okay, it's not that big a deal. You buy a high velocity mag and then, you know, you're
Yeah.
okay for the most part. It's just that compared to a lot of other heroes, like look at every other hero in this list and ask yourself,
Yeah.
does Warden have a stronger laning stage than them?
Yeah.
And for the most part, the answer is not really.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, probably. I think that Warden got a small buff in the last patch, which is like some base health and some stuff. Um, I'm trying to think. I would definitely put him in like top of B or lower A, but I'm not sure. I think it could be either. I mean, there's a lot more heroes here that are gonna probably be A tiers. I think you're probably right in that sense. I think he's like
Yeah.
fairly consistent value. I don't think it gets as easily countered by like single, like for instance, Lash just gets like hard countered by a few heroes, and that's just always gonna suck.
Mhm.
I don't think that it's the same with Warden. He's kind of just like a standard shooter hero, and I don't think many people play Spirit Warden these days, do they?
Spirit Warden definitely has gone down in popularity just purely due to the fact that people have learned how to play against it better. Essentially, if
Yeah.
you're playing Spirit Warden and you get, you know, decayed toxic bullets on you, you just kind of melt through your ult. So
Yeah.
Gun Warden is definitely much more popular, especially in Europe. Some people in NA still play Spirit Warden though. It's not completely dead. It's still fine.
Yeah, I'm putting him here at top.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I think he's probably realistically in a lot of situations he's probably worse than Shiv, but in some situations also better. I think he's also just easier to get value, and like when you're playing against worse players, I think Warden like can get a ton of value from Cage too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Wraith, and one thing I would like to say about Wraith is back in the day when Shadow Weave just became a gun item, that's when everybody realized how broken this hero was. Because before that, people didn't play those kind of builds, and then when Shadow Weave became a weapon item, everybody just started playing Shadow Weave Wraith, and then they started nerfing Shadow Weave, and then they started nerfing the cards, and then they nerfed the ult, and she just kept getting nerfed, but she kept getting like high early picks and bans in tournaments. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think Wraith is fairly balanced right now. I think honestly in the average pub, like she's actually very strong. Because her biggest weakness is like her early game is like meh, like it's all right. Once she gets scaling, she does do an absurd amount of damage. Like she has that capacity, and her kit is inherently very, very good. Like she has point and click CC. She has fire rate for her and nearby teammates. She has a TP to escape. So cards are not that good, but like everything else about her kit is just like kind of very good. So I think she's definitely just B tier, and like one change and she could become S tier.
Yeah, I think also like she's really good at split pushing, but I think that's harder now than it was with the 4 lane. I think Wraith was better in the 4 lane patch because she would love to like chill in the side lane and just burst down walkers and then TP out. I think that's a little bit harder to do now because she would rather 1v1 than 2v2. I feel like. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I do think that like especially seeing that she's pretty popular in pro play also, I think I would put her at bottom of A tier.
She's really not picked much in pro play at the moment, like at all.
Okay,
very,
so they
very
stopped.
Unpopular.
Okay, maybe that was like a month ago.
That was probably like 3 months ago. She hasn't been popular in pretty much ever since 3 lanes. She hasn't been popular in pro play for the most part. Maybe at the beginning of the 3 lane meta she was popular, but in a while it's been a while. So in my opinion, she's like below pocket is where I would put her. I would put her above Lash and Viper, below pocket. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I trust you. I trust you. I think Wraith is one of those where I just find it hard to like know exactly where to put her. So
for sure. I mean, like I said, one change in the meta, all of a sudden this character is like high A tier or S tier or whatever. It's very volatile.
Yeah. Hey, Avoid Sweat. I've seen about like 50 messages about you like disagreeing with the tier list. It's okay. You don't have to agree, but you don't have to like just keep on ranting about it. Just accept that people have different opinions. We don't have to agree with you, bro. It's all good. Just go on with your day. Go get some lunch. Everything's going to be fine. You'll wake up tomorrow and be just as happy. All right. Next up is Abrams. I think I've always put Abrams in S or A from the very get-go. I think he got pretty nerfed from heavy melee canceling. I think that yeah, I think the fact that they removed heavy melee canceling was a pretty big hit to Abrams. But I also do think that a lot of bad players used HMC as like a crutch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't think Abrams actually needed it, but it definitely made it easier to play him, right? So I personally think Abrams is pretty strong. He also still has one of the best mid boss steals, and he's a good frontliner. So personally, I think he's like high A, but I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, I think high A is fair. I personally think that he's more like bottom of A, but I think that when you take into account the average player, he definitely rises in the ranks because once again, you need to buy a lot of anti-heal against this hero to counter him. If you don't buy if, for example, you're playing in lane against him, he's going the Spirit Abrams build. If you don't buy a decay early, like he's just gonna like insta kill you, like you can't kill him essentially. So it requires very specific counterplay. So if you put him like high A, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna make a what's it called? Decision. What is that word? When you overwrite everyone else's opinion. Executive decision. I'm gonna make an executive decision to put the two blue people next to each other. So I'm putting him here. I'm putting him next to Vindicta. Maybe I have a slightly different opinion there because I'm lower ranked than you. Maybe Abrams is a slightly smaller problem in your rank because people are better at buying counter items. But
yeah, I mean, I think he's good. You can make the executive decision to put him there. I don't think it's like crazy.
Yeah. All right. Calico, in my opinion, I mean, obviously this is another hero that on launch was just omega broken, and then she got nerfed quite a few times. I think she has some really interesting things in her kit that makes her unique. I think she took a big hit with the E-shift nerf because I think she really benefited from the, like, you E-shift first to get increased movement speed, and then when you ult, because the ult is based on your current movement speed, you could just like fly out of there with your ult, and she was almost unkillable. That combined with the fact that they gave her cat form the ability to break boxes and not show up on the minimap, I think she has a very, very diverse toolkit. I do think that she's much worse than she was before, but I also think people are getting better at like countering her because slowing Hex just like breaks her toolkit really hard.
Yeah, I think this hero was like top of S tier. Like just if you go like 2 months ago, like this hero was like just insane. This hero's gotten a decent amount of nerfs and nerf after nerf. Now she has like, her gun got nerfed a lot. In the laning stage, she has 9 bullets now, which is the same as Abrams, except her gun does like not a lot of damage and stuff. But then again, she's still very strong. In my opinion, her best ability, at least in like competitive, is the cat form. Like her mobility around the map is very very valuable. So she's still A tier. As far as where you want to put her in A tier, I'll let you decide on that. I'll just say she's A tier, and I'll see where you put her.
I personally think that this damn cat lady is still right up here. I think that she's still, even after all the nerfs, she's really strong. She's really annoying to deal with. Like, I think in a lot of team fights, you rely on nuking down a target very quickly, and she feels similar to Yamato in that regards, that like unless you get like the jump on her and you get like a curse or a silence or a slowing hex on them before they can use her abilities, I think that she can get wrecked. I think she's really hard to like just deal with, especially when she is ahead. So in my opinion, she's very similar to Yamato in that regards.
I think that's fair. If I made an executive decision, I would have put her like below Geist, right above 7. But we all have, you put her there. It's the executive decision. Now we must move on to Dynamo.
I just saw someone. This is just Deathy's tier list. I'm just making sure we get some controversial takes in here from low rank Jonas.
Yeah, it's not my tier list. It's we're contributing.
Yeah, no, I mean it's also interesting because like I do think, oh my god, Bebop S tier Wallix is here. Someone ban that guy. No, I think that's a very valid point. I also do think that, like, depending on what you play a lot, you're also gonna have, like, it's like I told you how, like,
you're gonna have biases for sure.
Yeah. All right, so Dynamo is, like, to me, that's like one of those heroes that it's hard to. Well, I think Dynamo used to be like top S tier or very high S tier, like in the beginning. Very high pick rates, very high like value, and then people get, first of all, they nerf the cooldown on the ult a lot. There's more counter items, and
counter heroes,
I think people are better at playing around it too. Like more pick comps, like Dynamo doesn't really want to play into pick comps. He just want one massive team fight. I think that like hero has fallen down a lot to like maybe bottom of A tier in my opinion, compared to what he was before. I also struggle with him a little bit in the laning stage because on one side he has like a stun and a heal and everything, but at the same time I do feel like a lot of the time Dynamo doesn't really win the laning stage.
Yeah, I think this hero is C tier, to be honest.
Oh wow, okay.
I think my reasoning for that is the following. One, there's been only more counters that have been added to the game, right? So now without Unstoppable, it's hard to get a good ult when you're against good players. Now, at the lower ranks, I could see him being A tier totally because one big black hole wins the game. At higher ranks, it's hard to get that big black hole, and there's a lot of heroes in the current meta that play in the air that Dynamo just like literally does nothing against. Like if you're playing against Vindicta, Grey Talon, Holiday, Lash, any of these heroes, your game is very difficult. And like
honestly, that's a good point.
His laning stage sucks.
Like,
he's also really fat.
Yeah, that is true. He's a very big target. And like you said, because Holiday came into play and she can instantly counter him. I also like a lot of bad experiences with laning with Dynamos. Also, to be fair, someone in chat just said if you watch Crayon, it's C tier for sure. So I think that that's exactly what I needed to know. So I'm just gonna put it in C tier.
It's C tier because of Crayon. What did Crayon say about Dynamo?
No, if you watch Crayon play.
Oh, okay. I see. Crayon makes it look C tier. I see. C for Crayon. Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense, there you go. Shout out Crayon. This one is for you.
The hero has potential for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And like there are parts of his kit that, in my opinion, people still suck at using. Like for example, the Quantum Entanglement's like a really good ability.
Yeah.
A lot of his kit's actually really good on paper. It's just right now he falls short a little bit.
No, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. All right. Next up we have oh shit, what am I?
We have Grey Talon. Just like put that in S tier and move on. Just put it at the top of S tier. Just like put it like number 1 or something, and then we can all move on.
Is that how strong you? Because I struggle with Grey Talon because I played him on the beginning, but I don't have like a really good opinion on him. I think just because of like, I don't know, like I know he's very much picked in pro play, and some teams like seem to really favor him. And I think it's hard for me to understand how good it is because like I don't think that many people in pubs are that good.
I have an argument that I think will convince you to put him above everybody else.
No,
okay?
This is where I'll let you kind of take the helm because I'm actually not sure on this one.
All right, think about it this way. Generally, squishy sniper heroes that do a lot of damage are never played in pro play. Like for example, think about Sniper in Dota. Sniper in Dota at low ranks, super OP.
Yeah.
Pro play never picks because he just gets jumped and killed. Now the fact that a sniper hero that is supposed to be squishy and like a glass cannon that does a bunch of damage is consistently first pick, first banned in pro play for the past like 2 months, and nobody has found an answer. That to me just suggests that he's S+ tier, like he's top S tier, because in pro play, if he's OP in pro play, then he has to be OP everywhere else, because you would figure pro play would be the best against him because it's like the biggest way to counter him is to go on him and kill him, which obviously pro players are going to try to do.
Yeah. Interesting.
So if pro players can't kill him, then who can?
And then he also has 4 stamina, and he's got movement speed scaling with Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being told by GT players that he needed 4 stamina, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, now it's pretty clear to me he doesn't need 4 stamina. I think I'll be fine with 3.
All right. I like, just because he's like slightly weaker in pubs, I'm gonna put him below Holiday. I still feel like I would much rather play against a Grey Talon than a Holiday. But I see what you mean. I think I'm putting him. All right. Next up, we have.
I'm having a little bit of lag on my side. Am I lagging on your voice chat?
What?
You're lagging for me. Am I lagging for you? Oh, stream has ended. All right. RIP. Yo, is this stream fine? Let me check his stream. Deathy. My Discord VC works. The call is weird. Okay. What if we try again? Oh.
Okay, there we go. I was gonna say my server was working, but okay, this is better. Okay. Yeah, I put GT lower than Holiday and Deathy just leaves. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm done.
Haze...
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done, bro. Haze is actually a hero I've played quite a lot. I got interested in... Well, I've always loved ult builds in general. I played a lot of ult builds at Paradox. I used to do it like Mo and Bebop and Seven as well and Lash. And when the ult did spirit damage, I started like practicing Haze because I generally enjoyed it. I love the press 4 builds because my IQ is room temperature and all that. So that was a lot of fun. But then the ult infinitely scaling with time with spirit and doing spirit damage was simply too much. So they made it back to gun damage. In my opinion, I think that they should have just chilled on the duration of the ult instead of making it gun again. But either way, I think this hero is pretty doo-doo right now.
Yeah, I think she's like C tier.
Yeah. I fuck with that. I definitely think she's C tier.
Yeah, I think she's like below Dynamo, I think. I think Dynamo has like more potential generally. I think Haze is also just like a meta change away or like some change away from being very, very highly rated. She has like, she can have permanent invisibility that's extremely strong, but she has a lot of issues, unfortunately, with the rest of her kit that kind of suck. Fixation is bad at like multi-target fights. Her ult is horrible. Sleep Dagger is like pretty decent. She has 2 good abilities, essentially. She has sleep and invisibility. The fixation and her ult kind of suck.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people have had more success playing the Spirit Echo Shard Dagger build than especially now that the ult is gone. Because the weird thing is actually that the rest of the toolkit doesn't really match the ult. Because the rest of her toolkit is like this like assassin hero taking out single targets and stuff. But then the ult is all like weird. You're just like standing out in the open and spinning around and for like a sustained amount of time. So I would love to see Haze ult rework to something else. But either way, I think in the current state of things, she belongs down there. She's still fun to play, I think, but I definitely feel like whenever I queue into a game and I look and there's a Haze in the lobby, my first thought is like, if I get the Haze, we lose. If they get the Haze, we win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, Haze is pretty shit right now.
Yeah. But I would love to see changes on the ult, I think. All right. Next up we have Infernus. I would like to preface by saying I think Infernus is one of the like coolest heroes in the game in terms of like his like design, his lore, like all his abilities are like, you know, flamey and stuff. Both him and Kelvin like being flame and ice. I think they're like really, really cool heroes. Yep. But I think I struggle a little bit with how I think debuff remover is such a good item right now. I do feel like that kind of like makes Infernus harder to play, but I'm not quite sure where I would put him.
What are you feeling? I mean, I know where I put him, but I'm curious what you're feeling.
I think I would put him next to Shiv.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think I'd put him like probably top of B tier. Like my reasoning is that I'm pretty confident that he's worse than 7 in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
For the majority of players, obviously it depends on draft, depends on a lot of things.
Hmm.
I think that he has a lot of potential, and I think also a lot of players don't play him the proper way. Like I do think maxing 1 right now is just extremely powerful. A lot of players that I see in pubs still max 3 and stuff like that. But yeah, I think if you combine like everything and the average player, etc., the way that they play him, I'd put him just top of B tier. He's definitely better than every other hero in B tier in my opinion, and he is probably worse than most of the heroes in A tier. So I think it's like that's where I'd put him.
Yeah. I was gonna put him here, so I'll let you have the executive in this one and put him above.
I think
Warden.
that he's better than Warden, but yeah. I don't think Warden. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's fair.
Okay, I have seen that you've been playing a lot of Ivy recently,
Sure.
so I'm very curious to hear your opinions about this hero. This is actually my highest win rate hero back from when I was grinding gun Ivy. I think I still have like 65% or something. Just by like maxing 1, and then I made lineups for the enemy camps. So I would like, as soon as the medium camps would come up, as long as you had at least 20 spirit power, you could one-shot the enemy medium camps. And then I would like, every game I would steal between 3,000 to 5,000 souls, which is pretty sick. But I stopped playing her because I don't know. I don't know. I don't personally like Ivy that much, but I am very curious to hear what you have to say.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that this hero is like S tier or like top of A tier. I don't know. This hero, okay, if this hero's lane wasn't like meh, this hero would actually be just like Thanos, I think.
Yeah.
Her ult is insane. Her tether is like super underestimated. Like once you get it, if you have any spirit, like towards the late game, it gives you like insane fire rate and lifesteal. Kutu is great for wave prio and like just pushing waves on the map and like map control. The fact that her ult has like a long silence and gives you like, you can push a wave, instantly ult to another fight. Like it's kind of like Mirage ult in that sense. I think that it's kind of, I don't know. I would probably put her in S tier in my opinion, but I know that's going to be pretty controversial most likely. So yeah.
I used to put Ivy in S tier on previous tier lists, but one of my big reasonings was how broken it was to fly the urn. But then after all this time, they finally fixed that and proved to us that that was not intentional. To me, that was like a pretty big hit for Ivy, because you could literally like, in a lot of situations, if people weren't like properly focusing, or even if they were just like slightly shifted off of the wrong side of the map, then she could just fly it across. But obviously now with the side teleporters gone, it's probably still pretty good to fly the urn in some scenarios, because it's harder to get over there in time. But I do think that that was like a pretty big nerf.
I think flying the urn is like generally just pretty like not optimal right now, just because the only advantage it gives you is like you can path over certain objects, but it doesn't give you any speed advantage. So if you just have good movement, it's like not really necessary, I think.
Yeah, I think I'd like to put her here, there.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Calico. Yeah.
I think Ivy just also has like a lot of builds that are strong. Like we've seen from the EU tournament, like Gun Ivy can pop off as well, even at the top level of competitive play, right? So you can play Gun Ivy, you can play Support Ivy, you can play like a mix of these things. You can play like, there's just a lot of things you can do with Ivy. She's very flexible. She can be that hero that just buys kind of whatever your team needs. Your team needs a Knockfire, Ivy buys it. Heroic Aura, she can buy it. Knockdown, she can buy it. Rescue Beam, like depends what your team needs. And so I think that out of like a lot of heroes in the game, she's very strong.
Yeah. Next up we have Kelvin. I personally think that Kelvin is a very strong support. I think that's by far his strongest build. I remember very early iterations of Deadlock, he had an extremely strong beam. The beam would actually disarm, guys. Yep, you heard me. The beam used to disarm. But I think his ult, even though like before his ult was like, it didn't freeze objective, you could just ult and then you could just get the crystal for mid boss. I still think that even though it freezes the crystal, it doesn't change much. He still kind of has one of the best ults for winning mid boss, because he can just time his punch exactly when the ult goes down. He's really good with rescue beam as well. I personally see him very high A tier, but I'm down to hear what you have to say.
I think Kelvin is like A tier probably. I think he's very strong. He's got like the dome. He's got like his beam in lane's very strong. His name's a strong ability. Arctic Path or whatever it's called. What is the second ability called? Is it called Arctic Path or I can't remember. But regardless, the second ability, Freezing Path, Arctic Path, whatever.
Ice Path. Ice
Path. Yeah. I think it's good. I think I'd put him like somewhere in A tier. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I definitely think like in early stages, like for instance, if you get the level 2 beam with Infuser in the laning stage, it's like incredibly.
Yeah, level 2 beam with Infuser is like, but yeah, he doesn't even have to do that. But yeah, that is very strong, very impressive, especially if you don't respect it. All of a sudden, you're doing 300-400 damage. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I will put him right above Abrams, I think.
Yeah.
I think I'll put him there. Since they have a similar haircut. Okay. Next up, we have another hero that I really hate, and you can probably kind of guess why. But I'm not a huge fan of Viscous. I do think that I fucking hate this hero. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Viscous is one of those weird heroes, you know?
Yeah. He's gonna have a low win rate, but he's gonna have like insanely high skill expression for some players. Like you can make this hero look like the most busted hero in the game in the right hands. But I understand that is situational and stuff. But there's so much stuff in his toolkit that just seems so strong to me. And there's also so many different builds. There's punch build, there's support build, there's ball build. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I think I'd put him, I don't know, I'd probably put him A tier. I think he's A tier.
Yeah.
I think he's very strong. I think his kit is inherently always going to be useful. Cube's always going to be useful, all that stuff. Like, yeah. I'd put him A tier. Somewhere in A tier, wherever you feel is accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways he's the same to me as Kelvin, where like he's a very strong support hero that can easily save his teammates. I'm gonna put him next between there. Yeah. All right. Next up we have Yamato. Yamato is like a tough one for me because like she's one of the hardest heroes to deal with, even if she has just a slight lead, in my opinion. Yep. I feel like the ult obviously just like gives you shit tons of free stats, even though she doesn't like turn invulnerable anymore. She still just like, and then she also on top of that gets a heal when she does it, and she gets a bigger heal when she gets a kill. If she gets an early heal bane, she basically heals more or less to max with one kill in the ult. I don't know. I maybe I have like a biased opinion about this hero also because she's good against Bebop. But I always struggle to play against this hero and definitely see her like as like a high A, maybe even S tier hero. And I also think she's picked quite a lot in pro play, right?
Yeah, I think Yamato is like S tier. I think the hero is like, I don't know. The hero has like unstoppable debuff remover, like all of these items that essentially are baked into one ability that make her very, very strong. You know, you can buy anti-heal against her, but the moment she presses ult, like she cleanses it essentially, so you need to reapply it. So a lot of the time right after her ult, she gets like a big burst of healing, you know, whether she has in Locket meta, she'll have Locket. Whenever she has, you know, like she can use Crimson Slash right out of ult, she gets a ton of healing from that. I don't know. I think she's really strong. Really strong laning stage. Yeah. Good mid boss secure. I think she's like S tier for sure, in my opinion.
I think there's just very little weak sides to her. She's like strong throughout the entire game through. She doesn't really fall off either, right?
Yeah, I think she doesn't really have a lot of weaknesses, to be honest. Her biggest weakness is Shred. But yeah, other than that, we're chill.
Yeah. Yep. And also, like, since we're also taking pub into consideration here, I think very few people specifically buy Shred just to deal with the Yamato unless it's like in a organized setting. I'm gonna put her right here. I still think that Mo has more consistent value overall just because it's a easy hero, like always
my cat
has
is distracting me.
Okay.
Just climb.
Yeah, but I'm gonna put Yamato there.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And then we have Mirage.
Yeah. Mirage, the only person with the global ult. We have seen how strong that is in other MOBAs like Dota. One of the few heroes that can completely change the macro of a game alone, because you can completely push in the side lanes and then just force someone to rotate over to defend a walker, and then you TP into the team fight, and suddenly you have an advantage. I also think that was obviously stronger when there was 4 lanes, but at the same time, now that you can funnel solo lane farm and other people can jungle, I guess that benefits Mirage a little bit, because you don't really want him to be in the jungle because he jungles very slowly. But I personally think he's like high A or low S, but I'm curious to hear what you think, because I think you've played him quite a lot, right?
I think I think he used to be S tier, but now he's gotten enough nerfs to put him in A tier for me. Yeah. I think he's like top of A tier. At the same time, like looking at this tier list, I'm like, okay, you know, is he really worse than some of these heroes in S? Like, I guess, is he really worse than Mo? Like, you know, but like he's probably not worse than Mo. So I guess maybe I would disagree with that placement. So there's a little bit of like, you know, I'm not really sure about that. So I would be fine with putting him in an S there, because I think he's better than a lot of the heroes that we put in A tier. Or if he's not S tier, he's a high A tier. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that I think this is another hero that has some skill expression to him, just because like the things like, for instance, he's a really bad jungler. How do you get a soul lead on Mirage, right? How do you like, it requires more like knowledge of macro, like when can I push the lane a little bit further. He also has like, obviously he has a lot of shred with his scarabs, and he also has the tornado. I think is one of the strongest base abilities in the game. I think I'm putting him next to Yamato. I think I'm putting him here.
That seems fair. I can agree with that for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, this is the updated tier list for this current meta. Don't forget to also check out Deathy's meta report on his YouTube channel, and we'll be back for more updates as soon as we get a fucking patch. Thank you for watching.
Thank you guys. Much love. I think overall it's pretty good patch. It's a pretty good, like, you know, I think the tier list is good. And I think Deadlock right now is in a good state for the most part. Like, as far as the patch goes, I think the balance is pretty good. There's just a couple outliers here and there, but it's a good patch.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that there's always going to be some heroes that are weaker in any meta. Not even just because like how they like the developers intend to balance the hero, but just because of how, like, you know, like if you nerf Yamato, like if you nerf Mo, then Yamato becomes stronger. You know what I mean? Like there's always these kind of like these kind of chain reactions, and then suddenly like 2 weeks later, someone finds out that Spirit Haze was really good, right? Oh, and that affects everything. And then suddenly Goober plays Spirit Haze in Fight Nights, and then, you know, there's always these like but that's very interesting, because that means that the meta can have several big shifts without a single item or hero having any balance changes.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's something that is really interesting. Also, guys, I'm not hating. I know Goober is good on Spirit Haze. I don't really spend a lot of time hating, to be honest. I don't really find the point. But yeah. So that's well, that was the tier list. I'm looking forward to watch your meta reports. So I'm gonna go play some Deadlock, I guess. What are you what are you gonna do now?
As far as what I'm gonna do, so I have a coaching for one of the teams for the Death Slam coming up.
Oh, nice. That sounds fun.
All right, man. At 6 p.m. So in about 27 minutes, I'll coach one of the teams, and I've got another coaching with another one of the teams later. So, you know, that should be fun.
Nice. Have fun, bro. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. I think we probably have time for a game, maybe. Actually, we probably don't have time for a game. We'll just watch a game. 27-minute game. Yeah, I don't know. Cake time? Yeah, it's my birthday, everybody. Do you have a birthday party to go to? Not a birthday party, but, you know. Yeah. Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Just turned 27. We're doing good.
Thank you.
Is it me or is basic mag on Haze somewhat troll? I'll just buy extra spirit. Well, so basic mag. Okay, so the thing about Haze. Holy. Yo. Thank you for the 20 gifted. Let's go. Happy birthday. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I don't have any plans for my birthday. Maybe that's sad, but I never really treated, I don't know what you guys do, but I never really treated my birthday as like that special or whatever. I just treat it as another day. Happy birthday, thank you. Did you go to the restaurant with your family? That's fair. Not a huge birthday guy either, yeah. Birthday, happy birthday, hell yeah.
Good work. Let's take out Great Talon.
Here's your chance to shape your destiny.
Yo, we got Haze. So now, based off of this, we're just watching one of the top matchmaking games. Now we got to compare the tier list that we just made to how well the heroes are performing. So here we have an S tier hero going 1 and 8. So that's not a good look for us putting her in S tier. And then on the other hand, the C tier hero is doing better. Lash is triple S tier. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, Lash is strong, don't get me wrong. It's just against really good players that know how to play against it, I don't think he's that strong. But yeah. We go out to eat with the wife. And really low ranks with the main S tier characters. I would say probably like Abrams, Lash, any character that gets high impact that like requires a specific playstyle to counter are like really, really, really good.
Took him down.
Thank you.
Alright, one sec. Let me check in with the team that I'm going to be coaching later. Just make sure that they're still good. Which team is it? Let me see. So we're coaching the Procrastinators. Hello. Matrix checking in that we are still good for today.
Is under attack.
YouTube, the real fans, all the chats combined. Yeah, how do you guys like the new chat overlay? Ain't no way the Procrastinators make a scheduled commitment. Doesn't show 7 TV emotes. Wait, actually, let me show if there, let me see if there's a way of fixing that. I'm using the Streamlabs overlay. Let me see. Who's Frank? I have a coach that's named Frank. Back when I went to the gym more often. Let's see. Streamlabs, chat window. Oh, wait. 7 TiVo. Wait, you can do 7 TV. Wait, holy shit. One sec. Click. Boom. Okay, one sec. Let me refresh the chat overlay. Let's see if this works. Wait, use a 7 TV mode now? Holy shit. We're back. It works. Alright. While we do this, someone asked me the other day for updated Sinclair build, so we're going to work on that. Alright, so what's changed for Sinclair? For those that are interested. As far as Sinclair goes, I think for the most part, most of the things are the same. I would say, generally speaking, heavy melee charge is still good despite HMC not being there, so I would still keep it. I think Aura bot Sinclair is like not very good right now, but is playable. I think that most of the time Warpstone might just be like a core item now, especially with HMC gone. You kind of need mobility. I'm kind of tempted to like take out Spirit Snatch. I don't think it's like, I don't really like playing the Spirit Snatch anymore. Does high velocity work on assistant? It's a good question. On the assistant itself, I don't think it does. Let me check though.
Have fun. Don't get dead.
Actually, let me do it without high velocity.
Guns, trinkets, South Pacific. I see you're a discerning individual with the penchant for violence.
I don't think it does anything. I'm gonna be honest. I think that assistance velocity is probably fixed. It's my birthday indeed, yeah. 27. I'm old. I'm old as fuck. Let me check if the procrastinators have said anything. Okay, perfect. No worries. Let me make sure that I've got everything ready. 7 TV works, perfect. Yo, thank you for the 5 gifted. I appreciate that. Thank you. Means a lot. Okay, so let me see. This is the match that they'd like to review. So here, I can actually take a quick look at it. Oh, I've already downloaded this one. Oh, I guess I watched it in-game probably. Did the tier list already happen? Yeah, the tier list happened. I didn't get a screenshot of the tier list, but you can go back in the VOD and find it. Is holiday build still good? Yeah, the holiday build is still good. It's what I use. I do make some modifications on it for sure. So as far as the holiday build goes, couple things. So slowing hex depends on the game. This is like kind of like sometimes yeah, sometimes no. There's a couple items in here that are just essentially situational, right? I'll publish it just to make sure. Oops. Oh, actually, wait. Oh, okay. I hate how it disappears from your builds, you know what I mean? You guys ever had that where you like publish a build and then you don't like do anything to it for a while and then it just disappears from your builds list and then you need to like search it to find it again? You're gonna be 29 this year? Damn, bro.
I'm done playing nice.
That's crazy. Alright, back to the Sinclair build. I just have to go to the bathroom real quick. 1 sec. I put on Sinclair. Boom. Go to the bathroom. Give me a sec. I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. All right, Sinclair build.
You're looking for the remarkable. You've come to the right place. Need something for personal defense? I see.
So I think Warp Stone is pretty mandatory. I think Duration Extender is pretty mandatory. I think the green items haven't really changed. A lot of the time you'll go DB and Enchanters. You might go one or the other. I think superior stamina. I think the way that I value playing Sinclair right now is a lot of Sinclair is like, so as far as the skill build goes, I think the skill build is pretty much the same. Well, okay, sorry, actually, the fuck is the skill build? Okay, so you always start with Assistant, then you always go Vexing Bolt. I think that ever since Bunny's been nerfed, like, or the initial damage has been nerfed, like whatever. Spectral Assistant, so you go 1 point, then you unlock this, then you go a 2nd point, and then afterwards you unlock your ult. And then I think from here on out you have to be like 100% flexible. Some games it's going to be better to put more points in Bunny, some games it's going to be better to put more points in ult. So this is a lot dependent on your lane, right? So like for example, if you're in a lane where you're against a hero that has like a really good 1 point ult upgrade, that's like minus cooldown, for example. One great example is this is Paradox. Let's say you're laning against Paradox. If you put 1 point in your ult, you swap, you just boom. You get the swap off cooldown, and it's very strong. But I think generally speaking, you're probably good to go for 2 points Bunny, 2 points ult, max Bunny. For most games, this will be best, and then max ult, and then max this, and then boom. This is probably, like, on average, the best thing to do. But, yeah. Alright, we'll be coaching in 10 minutes. I think that's it for the Sinclair build. Might be a good time to update a couple of my other builds. I don't know if I've published this Lash build. Oh, this is like another one. You played a game with a cheating Haze yesterday and their lane partner was McInnis. That McInnis was definitely cheating. That McInnis was naked. That McInnis was not cheating. Oh yeah, you guys want to see? For those that haven't seen, yesterday I played a game against a cheater. This game right here, me and Wage. This guy's already changed his name, by the way. His name was not Deliel. He changed his name, he changed his PFE, he changed everything. Look at how much damage. This guy did 7,500 damage in the lane as Haze. He's just hitting straight heads. And I was just like, how are Wage and I just getting fucked? Like, I was so confused. But, yeah. Also, you didn't explain basic ammo and extra spirit. People can't think critically. Maybe the replay is making it look like that. Sorry. Happy B-Day. Oh yeah, no worries, Woofy. No, I mean, McInnis is definitely not cheating. That's naked. That guy's been around for a long time, and that guy streams like every day. So there's, I mean, if Naked is cheating, that would be like an insane turn of events. And like, you know, Naked's obviously a good player, but I don't think anyone's ever thought like, man, that guy's aim is just like completely out of this world. He has to be cheating or whatever. If Naked was cheating, that would be like, that would actually be insane. Ammo Scavenger is probably the reason. Yo, this Bebop hero, man. What is that? Fucking hook uppercut into hook again. I'm sorry, Jonas. I'm sorry, Jonas. But like, hook uppercut hook, bro. What does Vagman mean? Put him on top of S, revise the tier list? Yeah, I might need to, bro. Might need to. What is this Abrams build? Vagban is a myth. It's like the unicorn. How is it a myth? How is it like the unicorn? Surprised I didn't go with birthday clickbait for more engagement. Nah, I don't really want to make it a big deal. It's my birthday or anything. It's like, you know, I'm just turning 27. We're chilling. Fuck Bebop. All my homies hate Bebop. True. Might go Girardi here. Is Girardi in this game? Oh yeah, true. Yeah, Girardi's actually a good player. We're still looking for who we're going to trial for boomers right now. We've got four. I mean, we've got our core four. We're still looking for the other two players. Hard to say. That's your teammate, true. Yeah, you guys are pretty good. I think you guys should definitely stick together as a team. Can you message Parzillion about a trial? I could. Is he interested in playing for a team? Hope we stick together. I hope so for you guys too. Happy birthday. Thank you. I appreciate that. Vibes are good. That's awesome. He's not actively looking. I see what he would play. Okay. Interesting. You're invested in the boomers. I appreciate that. He's not sure if you guys would want to trial him. He's being a pick-me. I see. Fair enough. Well, right now we're not even sure who we want to trial ourselves, to be honest. We've kind of like drafted up. We're like, essentially what we're doing right now is we're drafting up a list of like players that we think would have potential, potentially. There's a lot of potentiallys, maybes in there. Essentially, the first step for us is drafting up a list of all the people that would be interested and that we think like would be worth trialing. And then from that list, we'll then work. And the hard part is you can't really trial everyone, or it's hard to trial everyone. You kind of need to like put some level of priority to it. But, you know, yeah. You're in it this weekend? What are you in this weekend? Oh, the Blood Bash. Your first tournament should be fun. Nice, awesome. I feel like Wage was your only M1 trial out of many. Yeah, the thing with Wage is that it was just working out with Wage, and so we didn't really feel the need to trial other people. And at the same time, back then, we were still in the mindset like, hey, you know, we want someone, we want to compete. And when you want someone and you want to compete, you just like, you're a little bit on a timer, because like every time that you spend looking for someone is time that you could be spending, improving, and getting better. So when you find a player that's just like a fit and is like good enough, even though you could maybe find something better, you're not gonna like, you know, you're not really gonna like look for that. Yeah, we trialed Buds too. It just didn't work out with Buds from both sides. Zara said he wanted to maybe join a team only if he doesn't have the scrim. Yeah, see, that's a bit of a problem. Like, I don't think any team is gonna like, oh, okay, maybe not any team. Some teams are like no scrim teams, right? But that's a very specific kind of team. Most teams are gonna want to scrim, right? That's kind of one of the most fun parts of being on a team. Especially with the current state of matchmaking, scrimming is like so much better match quality and stuff. So yeah, Wade just played well. Yeah, Wade is really good. Wade is good. We definitely don't regret Wage. Scrim is the best way to play the game, 100%. I mean, scrims are just 1,000 times more fun. Ooh, big swap. And that's why Geist is an A tier hero, guys. That's why Geist is A tier.
Your time runs short. It starts with a simple thought. I'm ready.
Who has escalating? Wait, someone has escalating?
Good game.
Oh yeah. Wait, the Mo has escalating exposure. Oh my god. All right, we've got coaching in a minute. I'm gonna join the VC. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, we're still waiting on. I think that I'm surprised Matrix isn't on already.
Okay. No worries.
His duo is on, so let me message him. But yeah, hold on.
Let me pull up the game as well. As far as I understand, you guys wanted to review the game. Oh, by the way, FYI, I'm live if that wasn't obvious. So, you know, just to let you guys know.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we don't have to. Yeah, considering you're live, we don't have to necessarily wait for everyone. I can pull up and take some notes potentially, but
yeah. I mean, I'll give a few minutes to wait for people, of course, you know, and all that stuff. So yeah. I think so. The info that I got is that you guys wanted to review this game, or at least that's what Matrix told me. Which is this game is the game against what is this team's name? Is this M1 Freaks? Yeah. I forget the team name sometimes, but yeah, this is against M1 Freaks. So it's like the 41-minute game. You guys ended up losing. So I don't know if he told you guys, but Matrix actually booked a coaching session with me individually for this game. So I've actually already seen this game. So I have like a pretty good idea of what to look at specifically for this game. But I watched it only from his perspective, really. So yeah.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, this was our one loss, so that's the one we need to most obviously improve on, right? So
yeah. So essentially, for the people that are here, all I ask is you pull up my stream, and because I can't screen share on Discord, unfortunately. Normally, if I was not streaming, I'd just screen share on Discord and we'd do it that way. But it overloads my encoding, so we'll just do it like this. Let me just change the title.
sure. Umar, do you know where Matrix is, by the way?
I have no idea. I texted him, but
Okay.
I don't know where he is.
Yeah, you don't necessarily. I mean, again, I can take notes. You don't necessarily have to wait, especially since
I can wait a couple minutes. I mean, it's not a big deal. I'll just load into the replay. While I wait, we can talk about a couple things. Like, for example, what did you guys feel you wanted to focus on most?
I don't really know what the rest of the team was doing, but one thing I noticed about myself, this was the one game where I wasn't playing Bebop. I was playing Great Talon, and while I think I was decently farmed and whatnot, I just wasn't in the fights. I feel like I was always not where I was supposed to be when the fight was like engaging. Like it would have taken too long and whatnot to rotate over. I didn't know.
Okay.
Do I spend the time to rotate over to the fight, or by the time I get there, the fight would be over? That kind of thing.
And in this game, which hero were you playing?
I was playing Grey Talon in this game.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure because your username was a little different, but regardless.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we can go one by one. So what about you, Panglarb?
So I guess I have the mindset of when I play Paradox, I'm just supposed to like roam and beat every single fight. So my farm is pretty poor. Like I think my stats ended up okay, but I wonder if there's any, like if you have an idea of like, oh, here's when you should stop and take a camp real quick or something. I took a couple camps, but generally I was just trying to be like every single fight because Paradox is, you know, kind of that's the role. But if I could farm in a better way, I guess that'd be ideal.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. And what about you, Paxel?
So I think after wave like 2, BMAC and I were in a lane and we had them both very low. We didn't dive. I kind of wonder if we should have maybe dove them.
Okay.
Because they ended up getting a big lean at the lane, and I feel like if we maybe dove them there, we
it was the big Vindicta lane that.
Yeah, Vindicta Geist.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I did a slash on her in a melee, and then she went into the right area behind her shop, and I just kind of left.
Okay. So that's like a very specific like laning thing, but other than that, in the big picture of the game, is there anything you'd like to focus on?
I can't think of anything at the moment. But
okay. No worries. All right, so for me, essentially my goal is, this is the only like coaching that you guys will have with me before the official tournament, right, on May 10th. So my goal is to pinpoint the biggest mistakes that you guys are making kind of like as a group. So there can be individual things, but realistically with the time we have, I'm not going to be able to, you know, for example, things like that dive, we can take a quick look, but I'm not going to be able to like spend, you know, 5 or 10 minutes analyzing these small little plays because we kind of need to focus on the big picture here. Because that's going to make the biggest improvement at the end of the day. The difference between, like, for example, you guys and M1 Freaks is not that, you know, sure, there's like individual gameplay differences where maybe some of their players played better individually, but other players, you know, like, I think it's mostly just like macro and like team fight stuff, essentially. And all of these games went quite late, so team fights do matter quite a bit. So we'll focus on the team fight execution as well, because almost all the games in the tournament went to like 30-40 minutes, and team fights are really, really important there. But a lot of the time, the big macro picture matters more, right? So I'm gonna play it. You know, when other people join up, they can join up. Otherwise, they have the VOD and stuff, and we'll just focus on these things as we go. All right, so as far as lane, we can look at this. I'll look a little bit. So I've already looked at the Sinclair Grey Talon lane. And my general comment for the laning stage, not just for you guys, but for most people in the tournament, is that you guys were, as a whole, kind of too passive in your strong lanes, or didn't really understand what your strong lanes were. Like, for example, in this game, right, your weakest lane is this Calico IV lane. And like your Sinclair GT is like a very, very strong lane that can and should be aggressive. And like Abrams Paradox also is a strong lane in this. So, you know, right off the bat, my expectations would be for this left lane to like, you know, this IV Calico lane, I wouldn't expect them to win, but maybe you can tie. So you kind of need to have this in mind when you're going through the lane, is realize in a competitive game where it's a team base, it's impossible to have every lane be winning, right? So if you realize that you are one of the lanes that is supposed to be winning on paper, then you need to kind of like play like it and take things into account, right? So yeah. Essentially in this left lane, I'd be focused mostly on creeps. We'll you know, let it play out so we see that dive element that you see. But yeah. As far as laning stage, for example, like their Vindicta and Geist are being like more passive than they should be in this lane, right? Like you guys are both just chilling full health, even though their lane is definitely stronger. I will say in general be a little bit more careful of positioning, right? For example, on the Calico here, you kind of overstepped into the lane, into their troopers. If the Vindicta just like tethers you there, I'm pretty sure you take a lot of damage. But essentially, things were mostly unpunished in the laning stage in this tournament because I think everybody was playing afraid. So I would recommend to not play so afraid, especially if you guys, I don't know if you guys are going to be scrimming or have scrimmed since or will be scrimming.
Yeah, we've scrimmed a couple times, and we're gonna be scrimming like before the tournament, the actual tournament. Yeah. So in that case, I'd recommend like when you do scrim, like don't be afraid to limit test in the lanes. Now, I'm not saying to go feed or whatever, but like if you feel like you have a winning lane, try to like push that advantage and do things like that, so that you end up having results that make a little bit more sense. Because, like, for example, the enemy team is kind of making the same exact mistake that you guys are making in the mid lane, meaning this Vindicta Geist lane should be a winning lane, but they're not playing aggressive at all, so you guys are actually just, like, owning them. I see what you mean by the dive here.
Yeah, should I have followed her in there?
No, I think you did fine, honestly. You got tons of damage on her. Now, at this point, it's all about just recognizing, okay, the lane is pretty much just, like, mostly unplayable for her. Once again, your positioning, you got to watch out. When you go to melee those creeps, be very, very careful. Because any player that, like, knows that you're going to want to do that is going to punish you with a ton of damage, right?
Yeah.
So, and also, don't be afraid to use Leaping Slash. If you want to melee those creeps, you don't need to be afraid to use, like, Leaping Slash. As far as your itemization goes on Calico specifically, I'll go over each of you. I'll actually pause real quick. We'll talk about the items for the lane. On Calico here, usually your first item should be Restorative Shot most of the time. If you had Restorative Shot, instead of being 350 health, at this point you'd probably be like 500 or 550. Just from the constant healing, as long as you use it off cooldown, right? So I would have bought Restorative Shot instead of Headshot Booster, although it didn't matter because you were full health, so realistically can't really fault you because they weren't harassing you at all. But at this point, when you go back, you should definitely buy like Restorative Shot, like Melee Lifesteal or something, so you can get some sustain.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
do you
go for
ever
it.
think
Yeah.
it's a good idea if you're like really close to something that is like Divine Barrier? Like, let's say as Paradox, for example, I'm like running around, and this isn't what's happening right now, but I'm running around at 2/3 health. Would I, if I went and bought, would it be should I save until I get Divine Barrier, or should I get that Resto Shot just to make sure I'm topped off?
I think, okay, so sometimes it depends on the situation. If you're in the situation that you're in right now at 350 health, I would just get Resto Shot. But yeah, like, because the thing is, you want to constantly apply pressure, right? And so saving up for a 1250 is something that you want to do if you feel like that 1250 will either allow you to apply more pressure or will save you from being in a bad situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I gotcha.
So like in this situation, you guys are winning the lane, you're applying pressure. Their health is horrible, right? Like the guy's is 200 health, the Vindicta's 350 health, and so in this situation, if you buy Resto Shot and you guys keep pressuring them, right? Your IV's full health, you're doing good. So I would just like keep up the pressure, buy items that give you tempo. Same on IV here, for example, right? Like high velocity mag, it's fine. Usually I think basic mag tends to be better on IV because she struggles with ammo a little bit, but whatever. And then after that, I would go on IV here. I'd probably go for something like extra health and then maybe another gun item like monster rounds. And I'll give you guys a little piece of information about monster rounds that you may have seen on my stream or not. But monster rounds currently is doing like double damage for no reason to towers, to the lane guardian specifically. So taking your lane guardian is like way, way, way easier with monster rounds. And it's a bug, and it's not going to be banned in the tournament because there's a bunch of like item bugs, right? So you guys can abuse it. I'm just going to tell everybody so that it's fair.
Yeah, I definitely did not know that. Was that just this patch that introduced this bug, or?
I don't know when this bug was introduced, really. All I know is that I learned about it a few days ago.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Do we have the match ID?
Yeah, of course. Let me just give that to you in the team chat. One sec. Whoops, that's not the match ID.
We also are just watching, like, we're in
just on my stream.
We're just watching on his stream.
Oh shoot. Okay, sorry. Y'all hop on there.
Yeah, but here's the match ID just in case. Obviously it's gonna be hard to like watch along, so yeah. Okay. Going. Sorry, I just linked linked the match ID and. Okay. Let's keep going. So Abrams itemization is good here. Calico itemization already went over. Paradox. You went Enchanter's Barrier. What are you laning against? Lash, Mo. I think in this lane specifically, going something like Divine Barrier on Paradox makes a lot of sense, simply because you're laning with Abrams, so you can Divine Barrier him when he goes in. And second thing is you're playing against Lash, a hero that's entirely burst. And so I would recommend that, you know, you essentially go anti-burst, which is Divine Barrier. So that's the only thing I would change. Instead of Enchanter's Barrier, I probably would have went Divine Barrier, because they're not really like a poke lane, right? Like we talked about poke versus all-in versus sustain or whatever. So here they're an all-in / sustain lane. So for example, getting an item like Decay is very good against both of these heroes. So I would recommend that either Paradox or or Abrams gets a Decay here. So like if you're Abrams, okay,
it is
you do
his
get
next
Decay.
item, and then I get Divine as my next item, or roughly around. Yeah, he just grabs
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Time to do my thing.
So you go for the swap. You do have like the kind of ult advantage. Lash looks for an ult, doesn't really get it. And Abrams looks for an ult. Looks like everybody just kind of used their ult the moment it came up. So one thing I'd like to ask you guys, since I wasn't there for the communication, is like, how do you guys communicate about the ult situations in the lane?
I mean, we call out if it's like not up, but unfortunately, as Paradox, like sometimes I just take those moments and kind of go for it. Like it can work sometimes, but that one was a bit of a weird one. I didn't want to get Mo Krill ulted there, was the main reason I just did that right then and there. But I didn't realize, of course, till like now I see he's not actually at 3K. He's like just under it for some reason.
Okay. So one thing I'd like you guys to essentially work on or have in mind is like, how does the lane shift when you hit 3K? So for example, Paradox Abrams has a very strong shift at 3K, not because of Abrams ult, but because of Paradox's ult. So if you Paradox swap someone into your Abrams with charge, that person will pretty much always instantly die, or like very quickly die, right? So that's how I would have essentially played it. So if we go back to when you use your swap, let me just rewind a little bit. I think it was like right around here. I just want to see like kind of how you guys were positioned for it, because it's already been used here. Oh no, it went forward in time, I think. Nice. I love Deadlock. Sometimes you go back in the replay, it just sends you forward in time. Okay, so let me just skip a little bit. Essentially, it's all about communication, right? So here, if you're Paradox, be like, all right, you know, I'm going to get my ult in a second. You know, I'm going to look for a swap or whatever. So here, you go up on the high ground. The Mo fights you, and then you kind of swap the Mo. I would say that it was kind of just an awkward swap. Like, the execution of it, if I'm to analyze, is... Dude, it keeps sending me fucking forward in the demo. One sec. I'm going to lose it.
We live in interesting times, don't we?
So... To me, here, you want to swap on low ground, right? Because you have Abrams, so it's very important that you just swap on low ground right into your Abrams if you can. And so I would not, like, have jumped on the bridge and looked for this, essentially. I would have just, like, kind of ran forward in the lane and seen if I can get something. Because now, if you watch from your Abrams perspective, it's just a little bit awkward. You guys do end up getting the Mo, but it's just in a bit of an awkward position, and then it doesn't work out.
Yep, I see ya. I got you. I think this game went pretty decently long before kill.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that not much happens. So I kind of want to see like why that is. So essentially, Paradox is one of the best heroes at making something happen. But in my opinion, like the fact that the left lane on your guys' team has the most tower damage is kind of insane, because the left lane is, in my opinion, like the weakest lane that you guys have, and their strongest lane. So definitely people aren't understanding like the lane matchups or whatever. If you're going against Mo Abrams if you're going against Mo Lash as Paradox and Paradox Abrams, like anytime that you have swap, you have a lot of threat on them. Like right now, for example, I would essentially focus on just, we shove the wave as hard as possible and then look for a swap. And if we get a swap, it's a kill, and then we can transform that into wave pressure.
this is where they start winning the left lane here.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, their left lane's timing is like, you know, like their lane is way stronger. It makes sense that they're going to win it eventually. You just kind of have to stop the bleeding as much as possible, right?
Come back if you need it.
I'm just going to keep watching this lane because I think that this lane has the highest amount of play potential. So I kind of want to teach you guys how to play a lane that has play potential, because I think that that's going to be one of the things that's like most important. For example, this farming when you have ult on Paradox, this is kind of like the type of farming that you should do in a lane where you feel like you don't have kill potential. But right now you guys should definitely have kill potential.
I see Mirage.
Yeah, I gotcha. That makes sense.
Like, for example, swapping the Lash would be your best bet. Like, swapping Lash into a charge, that guy probably dies instantly, so that's what I'd be looking for. Mo is like a bit harder just because he's a tankier hero, so even if you swap him, maybe you don't kill him, but even then, I think even Mo could die. And this swap ult is not balanced because it's a 50-second cooldown, so every 50 seconds, you get to try for a free kill, essentially. So you really, in lane, want to try to use this shit off cooldown. Okay, so here you get the swap. Lash counter initiates. You pop DB on your Abrams. He gets Mo and Krill grab. Ends up being really, really close. I'm actually kind of even surprised that Abrams died. Do they have anti-heal? They don't.
It just was tank and tower, I think.
I mean, I'm just gonna rewatch it because I'm actually like... Yeah, I mean, the tower definitely like did a lot of damage for sure. Alright. I'm gonna fast forward it a little bit. One thing I'll pop up here is the swap. So like it seems that you get better at using your swap like off cooldown afterwards, looking at just the bar at the bottom. Okay, so now we have the next moment that matters most in the laning stage. I'm going to pause right here just to talk about this, which is when the Sinner Sacrifices pops up. Wait, what is that on my screen? Oh my god, wait, I never realized Paradox had like all these particles around her. Yeah, that's cool. Anyhow. So the Sinner Sacrifices just spawned, and they just spawn on their side and on your side. So essentially, this is a chance for you to take advantage of your fighting power if your fighting power is stronger than them, right? So what I mean by that is, in this lane, you guys have struggled to do any real tower damage, right? But let's say that you're to take a 2v2 outside of tower range. Do you think you would win that 2v2 right now?
Yeah, I'd say most likely, almost certainly, yeah.
Yeah. So since you have that fighting power, if you clear the wave and both of you go towards the Sinner Sacrifice, essentially if they fight you, it's advantageous for you, right? Because they don't have the cover of their tower, and it gives you a chance to take a fight that is even for you. And also you get to take a lead by taking this, which will give you golden idol buffs, and it'll also like just give you souls. So my objective when this spawns like shifts a little bit, and so I'll look to clear the wave and we'll look to fight over the Sinner Sacrifice, right? So this is the same for every lane. So for example, Sinclair, Grey Talon have a very strong lane. They should look to steal their Sinner Sacrifice. And in reverse, if you're Calico Ivy, well, you know that their lane is a lot stronger than yours. So if possible, you want to try to secure it. You know? So you want to try to just like get it before they can steal it from yours. So if you're in a weak lane, you want to try to secure it before they can try to come steal it. If you're in a strong lane, you want to steal theirs. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yo, thank you for the sub. You're welcome. Okay. So I'm going to let it play out. One small thing I'll say about the Abrams gameplay here that I just saw is when you charge, make sure to pop your Siphon Life right away, because that's all that extra DPS that you're getting while you're in charge, right? And yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Abrams player is not here at the moment, so... But
yeah, no worries. I mean, he can watch the VOD and figure it out. That's okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at the lane that you guys are losing. To be honest, like if you guys are losing a lane, but you still have your Guardian at 9 minutes, I think you've done fine. Like, could you have lost a little bit more gracefully as far as souls go? Yeah, the Vindicta having 7k souls is definitely Vindicta and Geist both having 7k souls is definitely not ideal, but it's fine. Still having your Guardian is the most important thing. And at this point, essentially your hope when you're drafting a weak lane like this, or like when you're ending up into a weak matchup, is that your strong matchups can win and they can come help you with like a good timing at some point. So here, because every tower is still alive and the strong lanes aren't really putting pressure, you're kind of like stuck in no man's land in this horrible matchup for a long time, which is definitely not ideal. And now the next most important moment of the game comes, which is buffs and urn, which will spawn very, very quickly. And I forget how you guys position for this. I think that your Sinclair's position on the left buff, and I think on the right buff, I think you guys may have... You essentially weren't ready for the right buff. You were still in the lane, so I think you forgot. Do you guys usually call out when the buffs spawn?
Yeah, usually Matrix is calling them out.
Okay.
Like 20 seconds, 30 seconds out kind of thing.
We were good on Saturday with the calls for the buffs.
Okay.
Take my boot. They've taken our yellow guardian.
Alright, so I'm going to pause real quick and ask you guys right now, based on the information that's given for any player, how should you look to approach kind of like the game? What's important? What comes off to you? Like what information do you look at, etc.?
Well, probably pushing out the Ivy lane and grabbing that the soul jar still sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm dead right now with boost, so I could go anywhere.
Okay. But like, let's think bigger picture, right? Like just, okay, let's do this exercise. Imagine that you're communicating to someone that's on a desert island and you want to explain to them what the game state is. What would you tell them?
We're down to a pretty decent amount with the tower down.
Okay.
Yeah, we have very little tower damage / pressure at the moment as well.
There's a pretty good chance they're invading our jungle on the left, although they're not. But...
Okay. So for me, I try to keep it simple, right? First things first, you guys are down 6k souls. So that's the first thing. So you're down 6k. Now, usually when you're down souls, the second thing you want to look at is, are we down enough souls for the comeback urn? The answer here is no, because it needs to be a 15% difference for the first urn and 10% for urns further. So for the first urn, it would need to be 15% of 49,000, which quick maths is probably like somewhere right around 7 or 8k, like probably in between 7 or 8k. So you guys are probably right on the cusp, but not quite a comeback urn yet. Second thing is, as far as objectives go, right? So their Vindicta is very strong, but if you ignore their Vindicta, the net worth difference between the teams is actually not that bad, right? So even though they're 6k ahead, if you take the Vindicta out of the equation, the rest of their heroes are not that strong. So what that signals to me is, one, it's going to be very important to deal with this Vindicta, and two, if you take fights where the Vindicta isn't, it's probably fairly even fights for the most part. And number three is they have more Guardians than you do. They have all of their Guardians left. You only have 2, so you're, at a disadvantage from that. So you need to find ways to kind of like come back from that, right? So I'm gonna let this play out, but you should always kind of try to think about this whenever you can. Think about all that stuff, because this should affect the way that you play. So the way that comeback mechanics work in this game right now, since you guys are down 5 to 6k, if you take trades, it's very advantageous for you. What I mean by that is, if you trade 1 for 1, you'll get way more souls than they do.
Yeah, and I think this is where I ganked mid, killed 2 of them. We were able to do a fair amount of tower damage on it, and I think Abrams also does not die in our lane.
Yeah, that's fair. But like you guys, for example, so here's one thing to look at, right? I'm just gonna rewind a little bit. So you see how the net worth lead now is only like 4k, and it's closed up a little bit, and that's because you only got like 2 kills, and like the net worth lead is like closing in. You guys got 2 kills and you got a Guardian. So at this stage of the game, the lead is very, very volatile. So I'm going to pause right here. They still have 3 more kills than you, and Guardians are still even, but it went from a 6k lead for them to essentially the game is fully even. So what that means, the lesson that everybody can learn here, whether it's you guys or whether it's chat, is that when you have an early game lead, let's say that you're the team in the lead, it's very important that you don't give up kills for free and that you play disciplined. And if you're behind, on the contrary, it's important that you use your ultimates to create things on the map so that you can trade kills, because trading 1 for 1, trading 2 for 2 is always beneficial to you when you're behind. Yeah, I'm talking about kill trades, yeah.
And what difference of souls do the comeback mechanics on a kill actually kick in? Is it literally any difference at all?
So it's it kicks in on team net worth difference, and it kicks in at like a difference of like 2k souls between the teams or something.
Oh, okay.
So it's like purely based on net worth difference, not kill difference. So even if we were even with 0 kills, we would not have had comeback.
I believe that there may be an element of streak. I can't remember, but the element that is most determining is overall net worth. Yeah. And people are surprised like how significant the comeback souls are, but like as you can see, you guys were down like a very, very large amount, and all of a sudden you're almost even off of 2 kills and 1 objective. And so it's very, very significant. So yeah, you definitely have to use that to your advantage. So here you guys have brought 3 people. So I'm just going to pause real quick. I'm mostly going to talk about concepts, because reviewing the exact mistakes in this game is going to help you guys. But what's going to help you guys more is learning the concepts. So one thing that you guys are doing here is you're moving 3 people to the left tower. And I assume you want to try to take it, right? And you see, okay, there's Geist and Mirage here. These heroes are pretty decent at defending. But at the same time, you've brought Ivy, Calico, and Sinclair to try to take this. You've left your Grey Talon mid, which I really like. Having Grey Talon mid is quite good. Having Grey Talon or Ivy mid in your draft is good, because, you know, you can use their global ultimates to kind of gain an advantage, right? And then on the other side, you've got Paradox Abrams. And if you're Paradox Abrams and you know that your team is pushing left side, there's essentially 2 things that are going to possibly happen, right? One thing is they're going to respond to your team on the left side, and there's going to be a big fight there. And the other thing is they're going to come to your lane. So in these situations, you need to be very, very careful if you're on the side that has less numbers, because it's very likely that the enemy team retaliates there, right?
Yep, definitely. And I think that, I don't remember, but I think we were not able to hold the tower for very long.
I would say this tower is gone, right? And on the other side, considering this tower is gone, you guys need to be aggressive on the left side and essentially just, you know, kind of go all in, right? Now, unfortunately, Ivy lost most of his health. And so it's very hard for you guys to be able to go all in. And their heroes are very strong. You know, Mirage and Geist are both quite good at holding. And so it is a bit of an issue here. But I think you guys will be able to take it, if I remember correctly. Okay, so you guys are taking a fight on the left side. Now all of a sudden you've gotten the lead. You're getting a lot of kills across the map. You're barely able to escape on the Calico. And overall, this part of the game was pretty much a masterclass for you guys. As far as like, you guys came back from a 6k lead for them, and now you guys have a 4k lead yourself. So now the question is, how do you transition that lead to be something bigger? And, you know, what do you have to deal with? So one thing that's very important to take into account, and it's going to happen fairly often in these games, I think, at this level, is not even just at this level, but at any level, is sometimes one player gets out of hand, right? On their team, the Vindicta, 14k net worth, she's out of hand. What this means is that you guys have to itemize and plan for the Vindicta. She's going to be one of the biggest problems, right? They have Vindicta and they have Lash. So Paradox went dunk down. I love the knockdown buy. I think it's really good. So I'm very happy to see that. But on Paradox, not only do you have to buy the knockdown, but you have to play in a way to counter these heroes. Same for Grey Talon, right? So if you're Grey Talon and you see, okay, Vindicta has 15k net worth, well, you need to try to focus the Vindicta in your fights. Grey Talon is a natural counter to Vindicta, and so you need to use your power to try to like find the Vindicta and hunt her down in fights.
Thank you. see Vindicta.
So the buff spawned. You guys were ready for it. Thank you guys for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. So here you guys have picked up the urn, the Lash. Oh yeah, I remember this fight. You guys are kind of like migrating with the urn. You get caught on the migration with the Lash ult, and then it looks kind of awkward. Matrix ends up going down. You guys get a trade kill, but then afterwards you probably get cleaned up by like the Dome and Vindicta combo and everything.
Yeah, it goes pretty south here. It's kind of a long, drawn-out fight, but yeah, that's ultimately what happens.
Yeah.
We end up playing like 4 versus 2 or something.
So one thing I want to mention, I'm actually going to rewind a little bit just so we can see kind of the map state of how we got here. But I think that there was a very strong opportunity for map play here that was not taken. I'm just going to like, why is it not rewinding further? Come on, take me further. Okay, it's just not rewinding at all. Thank you. Yeah, let me rewind a little further. So for example, Calico is all the way on the left side of the map right now. Okay, so this is before the buff spawn, right? Calico and Ivy are on the left side of the map. We're just gonna look at their perspective. So Calico farming the center sacrifices, and then she's probably gonna go deal with the wave. Ivy's preparing for the buff, gets the buff. Calico goes to deal with the left wave. Ivy goes to deal with the middle wave, most likely. Like this is, well, it looks like Sinclair is actually dealing with it. One thing I will say is you guys tend to not prioritize waves enough. So a lot of the time, like there's a situation in which, you know, the waves are more important. For example, if I'm Ivy here, I'm clearing this mid wave, right? The fact that they sent so many resources to this fight in the middle of the jungle, if you're Ivy and you cleared the mid wave, you could have had the opportunity to clear another mid wave afterwards. Now instead what happens is Calico actually is starting to go towards mid, right? And probably has to clear that wave. And then Calico could have kept pushing the left wave if she didn't have to come mid. And then you guys could have gotten damage on 2 walkers. And despite the fact that you would have lost this fight, Calico and Ivy would have both gotten a lot of net worth on the map, and it would have worked out like much better essentially.
Yeah, I think that just comes down to like basic gameplay of like when to go to the team fight, or you know, push an objective or just clear away from it.
Yeah. So that's something that was mentioned earlier. I forgot who it was that mentioned it. I think it was Great Talon, or I'm not sure what your preferred username is. But as far as knowing when to go to the team fight versus when not to, so teams have a tendency in this tournament and in this type of play to overgroup a lot. So waves are more important than a lot of things, right? At the end of the day, waves are king above almost everything else. And so I would heavily focus on waves all the time. And as far as big team fights go, there needs to be a very, very like solid reason to take a big team fight, right? So in that situation, you guys got jumped on. If your team gets jumped on in the jungle, unless it looks really good and they can stall for a really long time, which it didn't, you should usually not show up to that fight and instead prioritize split pushing in that situation.
I see Lash.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, I also tend to struggle with split pushing on Calico because I feel like I just do no damage to walkers with her.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, she doesn't do a ton of damage. She does some, but when you have a full wave of trooper, trust me, you'll be doing some decent damage, right?
Right.
Here's your chance to shape
So it's all about just having the wave. So like here, for example, your Abrams is having to deal with the Vindicta 1v1. This is kind of an issue, but at the same time, you guys can maybe take the team fight because the Vindicta's not there, right? Like, this is a bit of a mistake from the Vindicta's part because she's the strongest hero and she wants to be in that fight, but instead she's split pushing the walker. So overall, like, this fight might work out for you guys, although I can't remember. So they get the urn. A lot of them are hurt though. You guys might be able to clean this up. Yeah, so you guys end up winning the fight, and you're still behind because they got the urn, unfortunately. I don't think that was the worst thing. I think in that situation, you guys do have to be conscious, like, okay, you know, their team fight is pretty strong around the urn, but Vindicta wasn't there, so I think it was the correct play to commit for it. The only thing that I would have done different is I would not have rotated the Sinclair away. So I don't know if Matrix has joined us yet. Let me check. He's not, but he can watch the VOD. So Matrix, if you're watching the VOD, on Sinclair, you know, you're very strong at team fighting, very important. And, you know, you want to be there so that you can seal Lash ult, you can seal Dome, you can use your bunny, you can use all these team fight abilities. So you don't want to, like, leave to then go deal with the Vindicta. Now, if the Vindicta gets the Walker, but you guys get the urn and you win the team fight, overall, it's probably a roughly even net worth swing. So you shouldn't, like, worry too much about it in that situation. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that, if I remember when we were, like, when it was happening in the game,
I'll deal with the troopers.
We had him rotate over because we were expecting that, so, like, Tally on the Abrams was, like, doing, you know, some damage, and we were expecting to be able to kill her, and I think she got out of there, and that's why that was, like, especially egregious. But if we killed the Vindicta on top of what, you know, that other fight, then we've been looking a lot better, obviously.
I mean, yeah, I think the play overall there is just like, you know, their strongest hero isn't at the fight, so you dedicate more resources to taking that fight, because without their Vindicta, their chances of winning a fight are like way lower. So like if like a fed hero on the enemy team is split pushing, usually looking for plays elsewhere is best. You have two options essentially, right? Either you look for plays elsewhere, or you over dedicate resources to deal with the fed hero and then you kill him. In that situation, over dedicating resources to the fed hero was not really an option, because if you do that, they're going to turn in the urn for free, and like sure, you'll kill the Vindicta, but you're trading one kill for the urn. Whereas if you all go to the fight and play for that fight, if you get the urn and you win the fight and you lose your mid walker, overall the soul trade will probably be at worst even, and it might be positive for you because of how comeback souls work.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that to go along with what I was saying, it's because we were concerned with the walker, you know, staying alive or not. That makes sense.
Yeah. Sometimes trading a walker is fine. Like, I think people get people are both on both sides of the spectrum, where sometimes they try to defend walkers too little, like they give them too easily, and then on the other hand, sometimes they like want to hold on to the walker at all costs instead of looking for a trade somewhere. For example, here, you know, they're pushing your walker on left side. Sinclair decides to go stop it. This is one of those examples where you need to take the fight on the urn, because you know your Sinclair is holding two people there, right? And the urn will give you a lot of comeback souls. So let's see what happens. So great initiation by the Paradox. And you guys end up killing the Vindicta. Paradox picks back up the urn. You guys end up winning that fight. And then this kind of worked out as in like best of both worlds. And then you guys won the fight and you also defended your walker. I will say overall that it was a very risky play. The reason for that is because taking a 4v4 fight when they have their strongest heroes there and they have really strong ults could have been a problem. Now the fact that Lash wasn't there was obviously very good for you guys. But you kind of just like won on execution alone, meaning you hit the swap on the Vindicta, you killed her, and that was your strongest hero. So you got away with it. But generally, you want to try to like play a numbers game a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Like obviously, if I miss swap or I don't, or if I even like let's say I swap Geist or Mo Krill or something, then it's like bad, right? So.
Yeah, so you just got to focus on swapping the Vindicta, which you did, which was perfect. Now you guys are making like what I would call a classic mistake, meaning you guys are really trying hard to pressure the walker. So if we rewind after you guys won the urn, won the fight, took the urn, what you should do is you should try to essentially take as much of the map as you can. There, it was going to be difficult for you to push the walker based on the heroes they still had alive, right? They had Geist and not GT, they had Geist and fucking, what's his name? Mirage there. So it was just a hard walker to push. And so what I would recommend that you guys do instead is you take as much of the map as possible on their side, right? So take any farm that they have on their side, farm the tier 3 camp on the side, and just get ahead and get a soul lead from that.
Yeah, wait, you're basically saying to try to consider the. So obviously we tried to pressure Walker because even, you know, we were moderately healthy, although with not, you know, no ults. 4 versus 2 with the Walker, but what you're kind of saying is consider the matchups of those. Like,
well, it's just that Walker was hard to push with the heroes that you had versus the heroes they had. You guys don't really have like the best sieging lineup, frankly, right? If you look at your heroes, one of your best siegers is like Ivy with All Fire, Heroic Aura. But in general, like, Abrams kind of sucks at sieging. Calico is not very good at sieging. Paradox is fine with All Fire and Nade. You do a decent amount of damage for sure. And Great Talon can be good too, but you don't have like any heroes that like shred buildings. Maybe if you had like a Wraith or even a Mirage or like a Vindicta, it would be like better to go for it. But yeah,
I gotcha.
So here at this point, this is kind of like a lot of the turning point for the game, and I think this is one of the parts of the game where teams have to improve the most if you want to like do well in the final round of the tournament. And this is like the 24-25 minute mark when the next buffs and urns spawn, and essentially a fight at this time of the game usually means mid boss, right? So before we do that, I'll just do a quick little itemization check for everyone. Let me see. All right, so Sinclair, I've already reviewed him, so he already knows what I said. Ivy here, I think that these items are fairly good. It looks like you're doing like a hybrid Ivy. You're like kind of support, kind of not. Is that correct? Well, I assume BMAC's not here. That's all good.
His mic's muted, but...
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, something like that. I was saying I want to make sure I'm like shooting my gun.
Yeah. So one small thing is like, you know, in this game, you could have opted for something like a knockdown on Ivy, which could have been good at some point, right? But you're pretty limited on flex lock because you went DB and Health Nova. And I will say that instead of having extra health, with the build that you have right now, healing booster would be a lot more value. The reason for that is two things, right? First thing, it works on your Watcher's Covenant, which gives you a ton of healing. And second thing is that it works with Heroic Aura as well, and it works with Health Nova. So Healing Booster would work on 3 of your things, which is very valuable. And also, it's good against anti-heal, which most teams will have anti-heal. Now, their team might not have that much. Looks like they have 0 heal banes. Oh, no, they have 1. They have 1 heal bane, and they have 2 decays, so yeah. Anyhow. As far as the other items, Calico items look pretty normal here. I don't really have much to say. Abrams items also look pretty normal. Phantom Strike, very good this game. And yeah. Alright, I'm gonna play. So at this point of the game, it's all about taking a favorable fight and understanding how you want that fight to start, right? So a lot of these fights, you want it to start around your Paradox. You want like a big IV ult. So here you get a swap on the Mo. So this is an example of like a bad start to a fight. And I'm gonna pause and ask you, why do you think it's bad?
I would say we definitely don't want to invest that many resources into Mo and Krill, even if he's like interface, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so Mo and Krill is like probably the worst swap target that you can get on their team. Now, if it's just for a pick, it's whatever. But at this point, it's around the buff, right? The buff is going to spawn soon enough. You know that it's very likely that they're grouped here, or like you should know. And so as Paradox here, I think it's important that you try to look for a better target, essentially. So if the Mo and Krill's there, you see him, you can shoot him, but I would not waste my swap on him. I would try to make sure that we initiate on a better target. On top of that, the other thing, GT's on the other side of the map, and like, yeah, there's probably someone matching him, right? There's actually a Kelvin here. But if you're GT and you're seeing this, the first thing you should be doing is you should be pushing the walker. You should not be going back mid. Now, managing waves is fine, but look at your mid walker. Look at how healthy it is. It's very hurt. If anyone comes to this mid walker, it's going to be very difficult for you to defend it. It would be better to look for a trade on the left side walker. And also, if you look for a trade, it'll be your first flex slot, which will be nice as well. So I think people are a little bit too afraid to kind of like push their advantage for that walker.
First time in New York, Talon?
One thing I'll say about Great Talon is usually you want to like fill out your orange slots. So there's a lot of items in your orange slots that are good. I'd recommend, you know, if you just having Hollow Point Ward would be like extreme value, just because of how the slot system works. Like, you know, you'll get 24% extra weapon damage as well as some spirit power for the cost of 500 souls. You can't really beat that, so I'd highly recommend that, you know, you for any slot, right? If I look at any build and I see like, oh, they have like an open slot at this point in the game, usually there's something that they could have bought that would be good, with some exceptions, but yeah. So we'll take a look at how the next fights go, but usually the biggest problem that I see with teams at this point is that they don't really understand how their fights should go. And so they go for initiations, for example, on Mo and Krill, or they go for initiations on these other heroes, and the fight ends up going poorly just because it starts poorly. So always try to have an idea of like how you want to start these fights in your head.
Headed to blue.
Oh, what do you like? What do you think teams? So obviously, we haven't played together very long. What do you think should happen later in the game if someone like starts getting picked? Like if we're not right there immediately, that's like a tough part, right? I think a lot of folks maybe around our skill level, it's like, okay, we need to be close enough. What if they get a good initiation like Mo Krill or whatever? How do you kind of figure out that like value equation of an investment in order not necessarily just like, let's say that person is almost certainly going to die, but are you able to like go on the guy who started it or whatever? Like, is that always awful, or like how do you kind of reconcile that, I guess?
Right. So it depends on a lot of things. So first thing is like, where are they dying, right? Are they dying in a place where you can quickly react? Or are they dying in a place where it's like, okay, that guy's just dead, there's nothing we can do about it? And like, how can your hero help with that, right? So if you're a hero that can't help at all, if something like that is to happen, then you probably shouldn't go. For example, let's be real, Calico is not going to be that useful at like trying to save someone, right? Calico can fight, but she doesn't have any ability to use you, right? So whereas if you're a hero like Ivy, well, you know, depending on your build, you may have rescue beam, you may be able to use your airdrop to take the person out of the fight, all these things. I will say in general, people try to save their teammates a little bit too much, especially in this tournament from what I've seen. So I would err on the other side of like, don't worry about saving your teammates all the time. Deadlock is a game with a lot of nuances and a big map, and there's almost always something that you can do to kind of like gain a trade somewhere or like keep yourself in the game one way or another, right? So I would not look to defend them at all costs, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, you answered it pretty much. It's just one of those things that's like, it's hard to really like, you know, it's hard to be like disciplined, but also like reaction timing is really important, because if you hesitate, it's like, well, there goes your chance.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the number one thing almost always in Deadlock is wave state, right? So if someone is getting picked, but all of your waves are good, it doesn't really matter, because what are they going to do, right? It's hard to push a walker if they just have one pick. Think about it. What does one pick give them? A lot of the time, one pick doesn't give them that much, really, right?
I see Krill.
So
yeah,
if it's just one pick, but all of a sudden if it's 3 kills because you guys try to save him and then it ended up being really bad, now 3 kills gives them a lot. So if I see my teammates getting picked, sometimes I'll be like, oh, my teammate's like in a bad spot, he's getting picked. Instead of trying to save him, I'm just going to look to push the waves in the other lanes so that while it's 5v6 on the map, while we're in like the, you know, penalty like numbers advantage, right? Like it's hockey or something. You know, we're just going to play defense, and I'm going to make sure that they don't have any waves so that they can't push any objectives, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Time bomb set.
I see Kelvin.
So in situations like this, where the game is fully even, like it's fully even net worth, 30 minutes in, you know, either team can win. You guys are fighting over the buff on the left side. We'll see kind of how this fight goes. I mean, you get the Kelvin pick right away, so this should go very well. And now it's all about what do you want to do with that Kelvin pick, right? So generally, if you get one pick, like I said, the amount of things that you can do are somewhat limited, but you just want to apply pressure across the map. So you look at their team, they have Lash ults, they have all these things, and teams at this level are very likely to overstack. And so what I would do is I would make sure that I have pressure spread across the map before going for an objective, if that makes sense, right?
And certain like heroes are significantly better at doing that than others, right? Like, would you consider, so like Ivy would be, you know, better at like pushing lane one and still ult there?
Exactly.
Okay.
So generally you want those heroes that are going to be better. So for example, here's an example of a fight you guys take. Technically this fight is 6v5, so this should be a beneficial fight for you guys, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't work out because their team fight is also quite strong. But imagine a different scenario where you would go towards the urn, what they're likely to do is they're likely to over-rotate almost everyone to the urn, right? But while you're doing that, your Calico or Ivy is pushing the left lane, like before that urn like started even being pushed, and you have someone else in the middle lane, right? So if you had people that were pressuring both the left and the middle walker, or pushing those lanes as you're going towards the urn, then you essentially, the way that it works at that point is, okay, if they don't respond to our hero split pushing, we just hold on to the urn and we don't even go for the turn in. We just kind of stay nearby and play passive. And the moment they respond to our hero split pushing, we go for the turn in, right? And obviously that requires a lot of like, you know, coordination and like decision making from everyone individually, right? That's something that's kind of hard to IGL, but generally when you're in a position of advantage, you want to kind of force the enemy team to spread out their resources, because it's a lot easier to win a 5v6 than it is to win a bunch of smaller fights, if that makes sense, when your numbers down, right? So like, for example, if you spread out their numbers, then there's going to be probably like a 2v1 at somewhere on the map, and a 2v1 is much harder to win than a 5v6, right?
Yeah, I agree. So maybe like Paxel, for example, there's been a couple chances where you can, like, I know Ivy, or not Ivy, Calico doesn't do tons of walker damage, but she can do surgery, so that helps a lot with those. Like, even if one person shows up, you can still keep hitting the walker for quite a while.
The thing with Calico is it creates pressure. It doesn't matter how much damage you do to the walker specifically. It's just, if you have a wave with you and nobody answers you, you're going to kill the walker no matter what hero you're playing. There's no hero in the game that can't kill a walker, right? Every hero in the game can kill a walker if you have a full wave with you. So the thing is, Calico's really good at it because of her cat form, because of Ava. Because you can be one place on the map, and then you can be very, very quickly on another place. So I like this play that you guys went for mid. The Mirage barely got saved. That was kind of unlucky. So on the Calico here, you had debuff remover for a while. You could have potentially used it to try to go a little bit deeper, but it's whatever. You guys kind of end up losing this fight. I would say this is like slightly unlucky in the sense that two of their players were, it's not unlucky, but it's just execution. Two of their players were very, very close to death. And so if you guys just played the fight individually a little bit better, you could have won it. And now at this point, it's unfortunate because the fights that happen at the 30+ minute mark, it's like guaranteed mid boss if they get one, or like if they get 2+ kills, should be guaranteed mid boss. So we'll see what they do. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it mostly kind of goes downhill from here. The game only goes on for another like 7 or 6 minutes or something.
Yeah, I remember them being pretty clean about the finish. I mean, realistically, in this situation, you guys still have a shot. You just need to execute the fight really well. But at this point, you're definitely like very much on the back foot. They have a pretty good calm for fighting you guys. You guys pretty much need to be able to shut down this Vindicta. Otherwise, it's wraps. And so, you know, once again, it's all about like knowing how do we shut down that Vindicta, right? She does have a debuff remover, so she can remove the knockdown. But at the same time, you have Phantom Strike. You still have swap for her. Your GT can still focus her. So I'll take a look at the GT for these next fights here. It looks like there's a fight or a death happening soon.
Target's
I'm sorry that I was watching that. That's unfortunate. That's mostly just a funny moment, though. I'm gonna fast forward until the next fight.
Thank you. Well done, everyone. I see Krill.
Alright, so unfortunately you got picked. This was just like a positioning thing. At the end of the day, you can't be that far out of your base as GT when they have rejuve and they have like such a big, you know, advantage in souls. They're up 20k and they have rejuve. All they want you guys to do is be out of your base and give them an easy kill. If you go out of your base, you guys need to do it as a team of 6 people, so that, you know, or at least 5. Like, you need to be essentially a squad, right? Or you have someone hover with rescue beam or something like that if you have one. At this point, I'd say when you're down 30k, they have mid boss, you know, realistically, when you're in this situation, the game is mostly over, barring like they make like a huge mistake in a fight. It's still, you know, it's still possible to win, but it's going to be very difficult. You guys probably just like stall this for a little bit, and then the next set of buffs and urn come. I assume there's some fight over it, and essentially your best chance at this point when you're down this much is just being like, all right, let's wait for next urn, and when next urn comes, you know, we'll look for it. And if you guys get the urn, then you can come back into the game a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. We played for the urn, and they kind of just pushed the base while we delivered it.
Yeah, we were able to grab the urn, and then we were not able to turn it in, I think.
I see Lash. I see Krill.
Yeah, so the urn's about to spawn. You guys are on the right side. I approve. You guys are on the side of the urn spawning, so that's good.
Help me deliver this thing.
Mid-boss has arrived.
So nothing happens. You guys kind of lose the fight. Now you're down 1. They're just going to push your base. They kill Vindicta, and essentially the game's over at this point. Okay. So essentially, main things I'd like to cover. Laning stage, understand whether you're in a losing or winning matchup. That's very important. So if you're in a matchup where you feel like if you are a strong lane, you need to play like it, and you guys need to play for tower damage and like be aggressive and all that stuff, right? Second thing, understand your timings in lane as well, right? Like the paradox swap like timing, where, you know, as soon as you swap, you should look to swap on the low ground for your Abrams to charge, etc. Stuff like that. And in general, as far as macro goes, you guys definitely did not split push enough. You definitely deathballed too much of, like, you know, showing everyone to every fight. I would say that the game is very forgiving from the 10 to 20 minutes mark. You guys don't need to like show up to every fight together as a team. It's fine to take a bunch of smaller engagements as long as your waves are good. Prioritize waves over almost everything, right? If your waves are good, even if you're constantly, you know, getting picked here, one person here, one person here, it doesn't matter that much, because at the end of the day, you're not going to fall behind in net worth because you're farming more than they are, because they're grouping to get kills and you're not grouping and you're just farming lanes. And then the other thing is that you're going to get a chance to push objectives, and if you get objectives, even if they're getting more kills than you can absolutely win the game.
About what time do you think is it, like, so you know how, like, obviously you're mentioning that lane state is like, you know, prio basically throughout the game, but about what time is it risky to start losing 1 or 2? So like right around the mid mark, 25 to 30, where 1 or 2, you know, getting picked off 1 or 2, and then they just go straight to mid? Is that when?
Yeah,
it's like...
whenever mid boss starts being an issue, that's when it starts being more important. Then again, usually they can't really do mid boss off of 1 pick. So like your question earlier of like, when should we look to help teammates? If a teammate looks like they're dying, a lot of the time it's going to be worse to help them than it is to just like look for counterplay elsewhere on the map, because 1 pick is usually not enough to do mid boss unless their comp is very good at mid boss and yours is not, right? But let's say they're doing mid boss with your comp versus their comp. You know, they have Dome, like their mid boss is decent, but you have Ivy, you have Sinclair, you have Abrams, you have Paradox, you have a lot of AoE damage. So if you spot them doing mid boss, you can heavily punish them for it. So, you know, 1 pick is usually not a big issue for a while. It starts like 2 picks starts becoming an issue around like the 20+ minute mark at this level. At a higher level, it's probably like more like 15, 16 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha.
All right, any questions? Sounds good. Well, I'll take it that was comprehensive. So essentially, I'd advise you guys keep practicing. Just FYI, I'm not going to be around in the next couple of days because I'm going on a trip very soon to Vancouver. So if you guys have any questions relating to the event or whatever, or anything like that, I would advise you to message Ref directly because I'm going to be probably hard to get into contact with. I'm still going to be checking Discord when I can, but like I'm going to be in Vancouver enjoying time with family, so probably not going to be checking Discord much.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone takes time off, so
sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Thanks
All right,
for the
guys.
coaching.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great evening. And yeah, thanks for participating. If you guys have any feedback about the event so far as well, let me know or let Ref know. Feel free to DM either of us. At the end of the event, we'll send all of you guys like a form for you to fill out to see how the experience was and what we can improve on. But, you know, if you have any, you know, off the book comments or anything you want us to know right now, hit me up.
Appreciate
all right.
it.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. All right, chat. That was fun. Check. Talk about Perry Vision. What happened with Perry Vision? Let me see. You know, track review, do you have time? No, I probably don't have time. I probably don't have time. I think my wife is coming home with food, or she just told me she is. I might take a break for a little bit. Twitter, Perryvision GG. Let me check real quick. Perryvision says goodbye to deadlock the roster. Uncertainty on the tournament scene, lack of sustainable prospects continuing to work in the discipline. Proved difficult from both professional and organization. Yeah, makes sense. It's sad, but it is what it is. I think it's not impossible we'll see other teams dropped, but yeah, it is my birthday. All right, my wife will be home soon, so I'm gonna stop stream for now. It's very likely there might be a stream tomorrow, maybe not. I'm leaving on vacation very soon, so I'm probably not gonna be here for a couple of days. But I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you for your birthday wishes, guys. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. Love you.